But I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roger, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, I got another doozy for you, which, well, is my game these days. But there's some weird synchronicities afoot and in the air, and some, well, as always, right? But the end of last, on Friday, we were kind of just talking about all manner of things. And shout out Eric if you're out there. He mentioned at the very end that he was going to bring up the Mycelium Network. He sent me a quick message and said, I'll save it for another time. Well, wouldn't you know, as I am wont to do, I flow through some of these news cycles, and there's some news regarding this mycelium network that we're always talking about. We've discussed this many times on the show before because it is one of those really bizarre situations happening when we're talking about the plant kingdom basically communicating, all right, with itself over vast distances and across different species. And it's a pretty wild thing to consider. And how deep this goes, well, how deep do the roots go, I guess, to Tartarus and beyond. But check this out. This is from sciencealert.com. And man, wouldn't you know it? The mysterious network of plants may be nastier than we thought. What? What are you talking about, right? Okay, so they call it the Wood Wide Web. We've talked about this in the past as well. But so basically, I'll just read a little bit of this. But when the Wood Wide Web was first described in the journal Nature in 1997, our view of plant life took on a utopian gleam. But a new paper suggests this communication network between plants might not be so altruistic after all, and could even be used for sabotage. What? What? How you guys doing? What is going on? So plants can send and receive chemical signals aided by the mycorrhizal, I think that's how you say it, fungal networks that connect their roots below ground. This phenomenon was described by forest ecologist Suzanne Simard, S-I-M-A-R-D, and her colleagues nearly 3 decades ago, and is now known affectionately as the Wood Wide Web. When a caterpillar, for instance, takes a bite out of a tomato leaf, scientists have observed that a neighboring plant connected to the first by a mycorrhizal network will ramp up production of the bug repellent enzymes in its genetic arsenal. Which is wild, right? So what this article goes on to say is that not just that, with the sort of giving cues of, maybe predator interactions or things where they need to, batten down the hatches type of stuff and shore up their defenses because of a particular incident. What they're also saying in this article, which is incredibly wild, is that they might do this intentionally and do it, fake it, basically send out signals that will cause their competing close neighbors, or who knows how deep this goes. This is just recently discovered. And let's see. Here's the actual paper. Where's the paper itself? I'll link it in the chat in just a second here. But basically like this. So if they send out a false cue, like an actual, they're saying that the mysterious network of plants may be nastier than we thought because they could send out one of these false signals that actually causes their neighboring plants to batten down the hatches and spend extra energy on these defenses, which may not be necessary. Okay. Now, to me, that sounds very human. It sounds like a very misdirection sort of style of, well, just, how humans operate with each other. It's, business is all good and well, and let's step on each other's faces to get to the top, right? That's all fine and dandy, as I always like to call it, which is why I try not to do that here. Let's succeed together as much as possible. Collaboration's a beautiful thing. But if you take collaboration in this instance and talk about the mycelium network as it is, which is, again, the underground space of all the roots and all the nutty stuff. Hold on, let me read this to you. Probably this is the best way to do it. So this is just the the blurb. So to fill you in, if you guys are not familiar with the mycelium network, check this out. So beneath the forest floor lies a vast, intricate network known as mycelium, a complex web of fungal threads called hyphae, Hyphae. This subterranean system plays a crucial role in nutrient cycling and plant communication. Through mycorrhizal associations, mycelium connects with plant roots, facilitating the exchange of nutrients and information. Recent studies have revealed that mycelium can transmit electrical impulses, suggesting a form of communication within these networks. Some researchers propose that these electrical signals might function similarly to neural networks in animals, potentially allowing fungi to process information and respond to environmental changes. The mycelium network's ability to transfer nutrients between plants is another area of intrigue. For instance, a tree exposed to ample sunlight may produce excess sugars through photosynthesis. These sugars can travel through the mycelium to a neighboring tree that is shaded or struggling, thereby supporting the entire forest ecosystem. And that's the way we used to think it worked, that they would sort of have a balancing situation, okay, where if the struggling buddy down the street wasn't getting enough sun, that you would be able to sort of pass nutrients on and help buddy get through a tough time, right? Well, now they're saying sort of the opposite, that maybe they send out these signals and even sabotage each other as part of this, well, nastier than we thought mechanism, which is bizarre, right? So the wild part about this, of course, as we always talk about, the scale of the mycelial networks is astonishing. Estimates suggest that mycelia weave a dynamic subterranean network stretching for approximately 450 quadrillion kilometers, which is about half the width of the Milky Way galaxy. Yeah, right? That's big. The potential for mycelium to serve as an interconnected network for interstellar communication has also been hypothesized, facilitating the exchange of information between celestial bodies, which is weird. That's a whole other thing for a whole other time. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's for tonight. But anyway, that's where we start. So we're told that this mycelium network is supposed to be more benevolent. It's supposed to, it's there, the communication, the sort of shifting of nutrients, all these things are actually in place to help, to be more utopian. Well, it turns out that according to this recent paper, again, as reported on sciencealert.com, that may not be the case at all. And the whole thing may be a cloak and dagger play of the plant kingdom trying to get an edge on its nearby, or maybe not nearby, competitors, because of course if this actual network is as large as we are expected to believe, and well, we know how deep a lot of these roots go just from anybody who's ever pulled up a tree before. They say that the tree, just a tree by itself, as big as the tree itself outward, okay, however many branches it goes and how big that is, that's also how big its root system is, okay? And so imagine that in the context of an entire forest. Yeah. And then, of course, scale that, and we have a pretty interesting thing. Also, of note, this is one of those things that has been rumored that sort of the druids or the shamanic journey kind of flows through this mycelium network in some capacity with, I don't know, maybe ancient information being stored in these things. And that's just me kind of speculating as part of this. But anyway, so the question for you guys tonight, do you believe this? Do you think this makes any amount of sense if we're talking about this communication network beneath our feet in the roots of plants, the forests, the world over, are actually sabotaging each other? Does that make any sort of sense whatsoever? Or do you think this is sort of humans anthropomorphizing ideas of plants and not understanding the entire system? So that's to begin. And of course, we're going to get to some weird places, of course, as we do, which is going to be the shamanic journey, all the rest of the stuff like we always talk about. But anyway, well, that's where we're at. That puts us exactly where we need to be for the moment. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in exactly 1 minute after a word from our sponsor. In this case, it is Human Inspiration. Do not go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way in exactly 1 minute. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, Human Inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable.
So here I sit, locked in my room again.
Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith. This progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, so now this is the weird part. I'm calling this tonight Fungal Alliances, a hidden hand in evolution, because there's a lot of wild and crazy ideas that came out of this, sort of the brainstorming process as I do this. And one of them was, you guys remember the forest, right? Not just the forest, of course, but the state parks, and something called Missing 411 by David Paulides. He's been looking into this for quite some time, and there's a great many cases that seem to have been covered up of people that just end up mysteriously vanishing from these places. Okay, and we've talked about that threshold effect, maybe people walking through two massive boulders or something and becoming disoriented, and maybe it's amplified by the mycelium network in some degree or capacity, and that really starts to make me wonder what the hell is happening out there. And so I'm going to read straight from this because it's probably the best way to do it without me rambling through it. But this is from the write-ups down below. If you guys want to read ahead or read along with me, it's going to be right there. But this is probably the best way to do it. Think of this in a great many ways, because when we're talking about communication between plants, the actual plant kingdom, we have a problem here, because maybe a good problem, because many of these actual root systems may be millions of years old for all we know. Like, who knows what kind of stuff still lives deep down below, sort of Hades, Tartarus level deep. And does it remember? And anyway, just keep some of those wild ideas in mind as we go, because there's a lot here. But anyway, so recent research, which we're talking about, reveals an unsettling side to the vast underground fungal networks long believed to foster interplant cooperation. Rather than serving solely as benevolent nutrient channels, these mycelial webs may display a manipulative streak, aiding certain plants while sabotaging others. This new perspective hints that our understanding of these silent connectors has barely scratched the surface, leaving open the question of whether we're witnessing an evolved survival strategy or something even more curious. Curious indeed. Some have speculated that these networks could hold a form of interspecies communication system. If so, one might wonder whether this living web is capable of influencing more than just botanical life. Ancient human rituals sometimes revered fungi as gateways to otherworldly insight. We've heard this before quite a lot on this show. We've talked about it even. But this suggests that these hidden structures might link ordinary perception with deeper or perhaps more mysterious states of awareness. There are stories of shamans tapping into what they believe was a cosmic voice through altered states. And perhaps these tales carry traces of truth about the secret potency of mycelial connections. Of course, it may be that we've overlooked the potential for a global exchange of information stored or relayed by these fungal tendrils. And conceivably, an advanced civilization, human or otherwise, and this is where this starts to get incredibly fascinating, could have learned to manipulate these filaments for its own ends. Of course, in this case, skeptics point out that firm evidence for such a claim is lacking as of yet, but the subtlety of these channels and the ancient lineage of fungi open the door to bold hypotheses. And that's where we're at tonight. As you know me, I like to consider wild ideas as part of it, but think about this. You know how humans can be cranky, right? The old wake up on the wrong side of the bed or wake up on the right side of the bed. To the best of your ability, you try and control yourself as much as possible through the Stoic mindset, things like this, right? But for some reason, you just wake up one day and you're just not feeling it for whatever reason, right? It feels like a Monday, but it's not even a Monday. You catch me? Well, I wonder if there's something happening with, with this network that is maybe manipulating those aspects of us, sort of our maybe emotional states, or maybe manipulating how we think in certain cases. And think about it like this. Let's go back to the forest and the Missing 411 of David Paulides for a second. Now, if you're walking through the forest, recognize that sometimes it's almost as if it's whispering to you in a lot of ways, right? And sometimes for no good reason, you'll just stop and just kind of feel like you're being held there for a moment to look at a particular tree, or maybe take in a particular aroma or listen for a babbling brook somewhere out there or whatever it is, right? You're sort of just drawn inexplicably to stop and listen or stop and smell or stop and look around. And you're not sure why. You're on a hike, you got places to go, stop and smell the roses or whatever. But it's almost as if you're compelled to in a moment. And so this makes me wonder if there's a larger context to this that's actually been manipulating people for a very long time. Because not just that, of course, not just our moods and let's say through chemical signals, possibly things we haven't as yet measured, or maybe the measurements are all out there and we don't recognize how they affect us. I don't know, just some speculations there. But beyond that, what if this is actually sort of the hidden hand, as I'm calling this, a hidden hand in evolution and the evolutionary process? Could, let's say, the entire mycelium network just sort of collude together, again, because we're talking about it being evil in this capacity, right? The nastier than we thought. But what if it could actually, through sort of changing a nutrient structure or swinging this or that a particular way, it could actually influence, let's say, mammalian evolution? You think that's possible? And there's a lot of things that actually kind of come into this, but it's weird to me that these things are alive. Obviously, this is not in debate, but if they're communicating with each other and we don't understand really any of it, we're just trying to make guesses based on, once again, sort of anthropomorphizing the idea of, deception in these things without even understanding what it really means. I mean, that seems, I don't know, it seems very human to me. It seems very hubris of humans to, say, they're competing with each other. They're trying to deceive each other. I don't know. What else might they be doing? And that's the question tonight. There's a lot of questions to this, but what do you know about the mycelium network, of course, as it starts? And how weird does this get? Because I think the more I think about it, the more this makes me not unnerved, but let's say, how about instead curious to learn more about this process and what it means, not just for the plant kingdom, but for the animal kingdom as well. Because imagine this. Let's say you're a crow in the forest and you've been able to tap into this mycelium network somehow, whether it's, again, through nutrient exchange or through smells or subtle cues that are happening. There's a lot of data there. And so you could seem almost supernatural in some capacity to be able to say, well, my sixth sense kind of tells me that I probably shouldn't be here. And maybe it's all around us. The warnings of the forest, for whatever reason, are just screaming out constantly and continually, or, not when it's not a dangerous space or whatever, but we don't recognize them because we haven't been trained to. We're not the druids of old or the shamans going through that shamanic journey and the rest. But anyway, what do you think this looks like? And how weird does it get? That really becomes a problem on my mind tonight. Some other things here. Okay, secret language of plants. There's a ton of stuff. I'll get to it as we go. But that puts us kind of about where we need to be. But we are taking your calls tonight if you want to be part of the show tonight. It is 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. And of course, I'll open up the phone lines at the bottom of the hour in just a few minutes here, and we'll start taking some calls. Matthew is first. Thank you for jumping in line there. And the phone lines are not on yet. And there we go. Okay. So here's the deal, right? Also, it's a good time to drop the disclaimers, as usual. This is just ideas here. This is just sort of free think, not chasing science. I'm not a scientist. I'm more a dreamer and a folklorist and things like that. So we could talk about the Fey realm, how this might come into it, sort of the will-o'-the-wisp, as we've talked about, maybe plasma. There's a lot of really bizarre things that kind of come out of this. Primordial nature spirits is one of my favorites. But you recognize how I'm talking about a lot of things that may or may not be connected. So squint with your mind's eye and maybe dream of some connections, and maybe not. But there's no truth to be found here. That's all the disclaimers. If you're looking for truth, you're definitely in the wrong place. If you're looking for some wild ideas and some maybes of what the future might bring as we discover more, then you're certainly in the right place here at Troubled Minds. So that's puts us where we need to be. Like I said, who else? Let's see. What else do we got here? A funny aside. No, it's not. I mean, it's funny to me. It's not going to be funny to you. Let's see. What else is here? Okay. Back to the article real quick. So I'm going to read the bottom of this because this is where this gets weird, right? If you want to read this in full, I encourage you to, because like I said, I like to cite the inspiration where this stuff comes from. Okay. So straight from Science Alert. So it's easy to assume that a plant under attack is actively emitting a warning signal to its neighbors, like a horror movie character stuck in a trap. Forget about me, save yourselves. And that's how many have interpreted this phenomenon. Of course, again, back to the caterpillar takes a bite of a tomato leaf and it warns its neighboring plants that, hey, batten down the hatches. This could be bad for you. So start oozing those enzymes that'll scare off these critters, right? But anyway, so there's no dispute that information is transferred. Organisms are constantly detecting and processing information about their environment, says VU evolutionary biologist Toby Kears, K-I-E-R-S. And Toby continues, the question is whether plants are actively sending signals to warn each other. Maybe just like gossiping neighbors, one plant is simply eavesdropping on the next. Once again, very human, right? Very human ideas here. The team used mathematical models to unpick the possible evolutionary drivers of the supposed warning signal system. And it makes sense that plants might evolve to pick up on signs of distress among their kin and respond with defenses. The physical ability to do so helps them to ward off their own caterpillar attack even before it happens. But the plant issuing that signal doesn't necessarily benefit from this interaction. And this is why they always believe it to be benevolent, right? The team's modeling showed that giving its neighbors such an advantage could actually do the plant more harm than good. Evolutionary pressures in their modeling, like competition with neighboring plants for nutrients and sunlight, actually selected against such an altruistic trait, okay? Which brings us to this. So they're saying that plants can gain a benefit from dishonest signaling because it harms their local competitors by tricking them into investing in costly herbivore defense mechanisms. And that's exactly the point of this, like I said. But is that, I don't know, it seems very, human driven in terms of morality. And I'm not even sure you can quantify the plant kingdom as such. It's so strange to me how we science is kind of like, well, this makes a lot of sense for people. Well, but these aren't people. These are the plants of the world. Stop it. So anyway, does it sound ridiculous to you to suggest that these plants are actually deceiving each other to gain an evolutionary advantage in this mycelium network? And to me, it seems like it's probably one data point in a sea of data that we have not yet deciphered. And so where it's a good guess, I'm not like, I'm not sold on this. But maybe you are. Maybe I'm missing something here, which is the whole point of doing this, is to talk to people about these incredible ideas. So what do you know about it? What do you know about the mycelium networks? What do you know about maybe missing 411 of David Paulides? And what about the shamanic journey? And is there more out there in the forests of the world than we ever expected to find? And is there a way to tune into this, back to the druidic aspect of things? And think something like what would it be? Avatar. Do you remember Avatar, that old movie? I haven't seen any of these sequels, but where they had their tail, where they sort of wrapped them into these plants, and they were able to communicate directly, and they were able to communicate with animals that way, and even had to do some sort of spirit bonding. I don't know. You think that's possible in, let's say, the human space? And like I said, and like I continue to say, how weird does it get? Yeah. Oh yeah. Sports ball update. Thank goodness football season is over, and now the countdown to baseball season has commenced. So I'm completely thrilled at this time of year because, yep, I'm really not a football fan. But in other sports ball news, and this will conclude our sports ball coverage for the night, the Kansas City Chiefs finally lost a damn Super Bowl. So stuff at Chiefs. Everybody outside of Kansas City was rooting against you. So yeah. Hey, lose one. Why don't you? Anyway, that concludes our sports ball coverage for the evening. Love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you know about? We're talking about the mysterious network of plants, maybe nastier than we thought. Does it seem very human to you? Does it seem possible? Does it seem like the old capitalism aspect is stepping on each other's faces to get to the top actually exists in the plant world? 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. We got Matthew and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
Whispers in the night, breeze deceive, roots slide underfoot, secrets they weave, branches like arms, grasp in shadows, Dance on the floor. Plants take control. Dance on the floor. Plants take control. Vines wrap tighter, tight, choking the truth out. Petals high glass, sprouting about. Dance on the floor, plants take control. Dance on the floor, plants take control. In the shadows they plot, dancing with deceit. Nature's here in song, underneath our feet. Dance on the floor. Plants take control. Dance on the floor. Plants take control. In darkness they bloom, whispering tales untold. Leaves as their disguise, trapping secrets of old. Roots dig deeper still into the world we know. Dance on the floor.
That didn't turn out quite like I imagined it would, but we'll roll with it anyway. What's up? Matthew is first. How you guys doing? We got Derek the Night Stalker. He'll be next. What's up, Jeff and Wisco? We got Dawn. What's up, Don't Panic Joey? We got Sweets, APOC, Enoch, Daryl, Matt Sal, James, and Jorge. I see you guys. What's going on over to Ephemerance over there on Thanks for the Pin. What's up, Raz? We got Gordo is here. What's up, Squigs? I see you there. What's happening, folks? Blue Eyes, how you doing? Welcome to the joint. We got John 5B. What's up, Gordo? Hello, hello. If I missed you, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Doing my best to keep up here, and lots of things happening. Good evening, good evening. What do we know about this mycelium network? How weird is it? Raz, what's up? T Gooner, I see you there. Funny, you're not going to make me say it. How you guys doing? Who did I miss? Over to Rumble and Kick. We got Herschel. How you doing? We got Mathco. We'll talk to him momentarily. Celia's here. What's up, Jan? We got the Mr. Mission Control. What's up, Fred? How you doing? How you doing? Good evening. Good evening. Hello, hello. Let's see, who did I miss? Lots of folks here. Thanks for being part of this, guys, and thanks for caring about these conversations, even if they may seem, frivolous sometimes. Machiavelli, I see you there. What's up, buddy? Here we go. Trouble Minds happening. We got, again, Matthew first, and we got Derek the Night Stalker, and we got your calls as well. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, could a hidden intelligence resting in roots in fungi truly steer entire ecosystems over millennia? Is it possible that ancient lore and faint illusions in forest shadows point to subtle manipulations of mood and perception? And of course, how deep and how weird does the mycelium network get? And that's what's on my mind tonight. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And let's go to Matthew. What's up, brother? Thanks for being patient. You're on Troubled Minds. Happy Sunday, and go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, man. Well, as a resident psychonaut and another blind psychonaut, love the topic. You knew I would.
Yeah, this one is calling out to you, obviously.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, I've admitted it on the show. Definitely had some experience with the shrooms myself over the years, and quite a few times. So, firsthand experience can be a good thing. sometimes makes things, you can kind of understand them a little deeper than just reading them in a book or somebody else's experience. And this is particularly true for hallucinogens. And if you talk to somebody who's done them, it's pretty commonly said, there's two types of people in this world, those who have done them and those who haven't. And there seems to be something that people that have had the experience get and understand at a different level, obviously, from their personal experience, that you just don't quite get and understand if you've never done it. And I'm not saying everybody should do it, and all those disclaimers. But I wanted to start with just a quick, interesting fact that the biologists' most recent determinations are that the fungi kingdom came about 1,300 million years ago on planet Earth. So if we, extend the zeros, that's 1.3 billion years ago on a planet that's, roughly 4.5 billion years ago old. Now, interestingly, plants only showed up 700 million years ago. So the fungi were before the plants 500 million years. So they were around and kicking and running the planet before any other life form on planet Earth. They were the first. Okay, now, a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't know it for a long time, so, don't mean to be insulting at all. But we think about DNA, and we know humans have DNA, and maybe most people probably understand animals have DNA. But dig this fact. All living organisms, all biological organisms have DNA. So that means every plant has DNA. Mushrooms have DNA. So the very first DNA on planet Earth were the mushrooms, were the fungi. Okay? So that's going to tie into some other things. And I think even your show topic, that it may have been the original seed of all biological life, including humans on planet Earth, whether after them came evolution or whatever. Another interesting thing I like to point out is that the fungi is its own kingdom. Okay, so we have the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and the fungi kingdom. And actually, dig this, fungi are more similar to animals than they are plants, according to their characteristics. So that's just some fun little science data on how amazing the fungi are. And quick comment about the tomato plant and whether it's in its self-interest or not. I actually thought maybe it's not in its interest to notify the nearby plants because they all get their defenses up. And so the pests, or the butterfly larva or whatever it is, they don't want to go attack the other plants. They're happy with the one that is already injured and has its defenses down. And if they don't notify the other plants, those bugs and pests are going to spread out. So they're kind of making themselves the sole target, perhaps.
Yeah, it seems it does, and I think that's why they believed it initially to be that it was a very benevolent thing, like all for one, one for all sort of thing. And hey, if I'm the one getting eaten, I'm going to let everybody know, shore up the defenses because you're going to get eaten next. And so it does seem very very noble, right? Because like you said, now the surrounding crew is going to be protected, and you're not, so you're likely to continue to get eaten. Absolutely, I agree with you there. But again, I think that one of the mistakes we're making as part of this, and I'm sure you're probably going to touch on this, is that we are again putting sort of human emotions into this, which doesn't make any damn sense to me. Anyway, go right ahead.
We run the risk of anthropomorphizing and putting human morals or values or meanings where they perhaps don't belong. But I think this ties in nicely that setting that background when you were talking about maybe the mushrooms might not give the best advice to the trees or something. And maybe have, in terms of the tree's perspective, nefarious intent. Well, I've lived in the mountains. I won't date myself all more than everybody already knows, but let's say for multiple decades, I have been a mushroom hunter. and trained by some guys that really knew it and taught me and lived in the mountains. And so I've done a lot of mushroom hunting, and you learn real quick. They love not only trees, bases of trees, areas around the roots and stuff like that, but a rotting log, man. You get a down tree with rotting logs, and there's people that cultivate mushrooms, just for food ones, not hallucinogenic ones. They do rotting logs or, cut up timber and let it sit for a couple of years and put the mushroom spores on there because they love it. It's the best place to grow them. Now consider the mushrooms, if they were intelligent, they want rotting logs. It's to their advantage to have a tree die, or it's to their advantage to have lots of trees. So they work with the trees, they grow the forest, but if they need to spread or expand or, enlarge their territory, let's take out some trees, make some little rotting logs. So I can see them working with the trees. I almost got political, in a way to exploit them in some ways that help the trees and are beneficial, in other ways that they're just using them for their own advantage. So I think that ties into a bit of the article you were saying about maybe they don't necessarily have the most benevolent moral intent and actions all the time. Yeah. And then
it makes a ton of sense when you put it that way, because like you said, they do need the dead trees and the rot and all the rest of that stuff for them to proliferate. So again, mixed signals, I guess you could probably say. I think that makes a ton of sense here for sure.
Well, and then when you think about the massive size, like you said, if you add it all up, the size of the span of the Milky Way galaxy, and you imagine they had a 500 million year evolutionary head start. They were dominating this planet. So by the time plants came along, and they're immature and simple and not very strong and whatever, not very smart and didn't have good systems, whatever, the fungi were like, look at these little things we have to play with and manipulate and use. And so they dominated the plants, you could imagine, from the beginning. And that's probably why you have the intricate information system, communication system, and network between the plants and the trees and the mycelium, and the word you threw out there I didn't know, but I'll try and learn someday, that was established from the get-go with plants. It's probably always been there. That was the plants grew into the network of the fungi that already existed. See? So we kind of think about it for some reason like, the mushrooms went out and started touching bases with the plants. And it's like, no, the plants grew up in the network to begin with. So that relationship is old, 700 million years old, that stuff's been going on. So that's a long time to evolve. I mean, maybe mainstream science is going to put humans at 400,000 years old, maybe 600. Some people that'll go into older humans and past civilizations, 800,000 years. Okay, let's push it to 1 million years. Well, you're talking about fungi being around 1,300 times longer than humans. So that's a huge head start. And maybe they were precursors. Maybe they brought the DNA to Earth, Yeah. And
with the panspermia, right? Maybe that's how life begins. The evolutionary process of, as you described, DNA itself could have been from elsewhere, and it begins as this mycelial space, which makes a ton of sense because, of course, you bury yourself, you sort of are able to kind of control, how much sunlight you get or need or don't get or this type of stuff. That right there seems like the underground the underground rodeo of where everything begins. I think it makes a ton of sense to me anyway.
Are you bringing Derek at the top of the hour, or is he available now? I just want to watch time, but
I appreciate it. He said he's ready at the top of the hour, so you got time if you need it.
Okay, cool. So, so that nice segue there, unplanned, but I pulled up the Wikipedia on something I already knew, but I wanted to review it, but it's not too long. So this is about Terence McKenna and his thoughts on this subject, and he touches on several of these things, of course. So it says he also recommended and often spoke of taking what he called heroic doses, which he defined as 5 grams of dried psilocybin mushrooms. And I've taken them, and I remember the rule. I remember the time we took 2.5 and decided never again. Never that many. So I can't imagine 5.
Holy moly.
That is a heroic dose. Let me tell you, from somebody who's done half that much, that is heroic. Taken alone on an empty stomach in silent darkness and with eyes closed. He believed that when taken this way, one could expect a profound visionary experience, believing it is only when slain by the power of the mushroom that the message becomes clear. And of course, this is, I don't know if it says it in here, he says, when you do that heroic dose, the mushrooms speak. It's not just visual. And that's when they spoke to him and said, hey, we're what you would call aliens. We're intelligent beings. You just think of us as a plant. That's not what we are, buddy. And they said, we came from outer space long ago. So although McKenna avoided giving his allegiance to any interpretation and part of his rejection of monotheism, he was open to the idea of psychedelics as being transdimensional travel. He proposed that DMT sent one to a parallel dimension, and that psychedelics literally enabled an individual to encounter higher dimensional entities, or what could be ancestors or spirits of the earth, saying that if you can trust your own perceptions, it appears that you are entering an ecology of souls. McKenna also put forward the idea that psychedelics were doorways into the Gaian mind, suggesting that the planet has a kind of intelligence. It can actually open a channel of communication with an individual human being, and that the psychedelic plants were the facilitators of this communication. And then just a little more. In a more radical version of biophysicist Francis Crick's hypothesis of directed panspermia, which I like to call transpermia or transpermia, McKenna speculated on the idea that psilocybin mushrooms may be species of high intelligence, which may have arrived on this planet as spores migrating through space, and which are attempting to establish a symbiotic relationship with human beings. He postulated that intelligence, this is in quote, not life, but intelligence may have come here to Earth in this spore-bearing life form. He said, I think that theory will probably be vindicated. I think in 100 years, if people do biology, they will think it quite silly that people once thought that spores could not be blown from one star system to another by cosmic radiation pressure. Also, solar winds, as we'll call them now. And also believe that few people are in a position to judge its extraterrestrial potential, because few people in the orthodox sciences have ever experienced the full spectrum of psychedelic effects that are unleashed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was reminded, well, I already had that pulled up, but when you said, and you said maybe we won't go there, about that the mycelium network may be such a vast neural network that not only is it intelligent and conscious, but might be able to not only span the galaxy, but communicate across the galaxy. And so, yeah, jumping on the Night Stalker elevator, then this opens up the potential that not only are they aliens from other worlds and planets, but conscious beings, and have the capacity via consciousness, which is non-local, I always say, and not limited by space, as we know from quantum entanglement. If you want to tie those two concepts of consciousness together with the quantum field, then it becomes quite obvious that that's certainly possible. that they're intelligent extraterrestrials that not only came from space, but have the ability to communicate with their buddies back home and other beings and other consciousness. And if you go with the panpsychism and the planet Earth's alive and other planets and stars, the whole thing's one giant Indra's web. It's an all unified network. And of course, if you go back thousands of years, that's what the spiritual gurus and sages and mystics have always said. It's all one. All of consciousness is unified. So maybe we're just looking at the scientific material aspect that maybe we're starting to see how that is not just woo-woo stuff from spiritually weird people, but actually legitimate. And there's, science and physics behind all this, especially, like I said, when you bring in the quantum physics and consciousness existing on the quantum field, because they know the quantum field, or at least they think, is unified throughout all of the created universe. So that's the mechanism. It's like the network for all of consciousness and intelligence. So it sort of really neatly ties it all together, does it not?
Yeah, totally. And I was thinking of it too. Imagine we get, I don't know, like an alien spaceship in orbit, okay? And it's scanning the Earth for life. It's going to find massive life forms, okay, obviously. But I think what it will probably detect, more so than anything, would be that mycelium network, and maybe even want to communicate with it in some way, because it is the most ancient version of ourselves, of life on Earth, which would be incredibly wild. And it brought to mind the... as always, right? I'm a Star Wars head. What is it? Episode 5. The Empire Strikes Back. Luke is going into Dagobah to meet Yoda, and he tells R2, his astromech droid, everybody knows and loves R2-D2, but he says, I'm picking up massive life readings down there. And it's basically the entire planet is this massive, like, overgrown jungle swamp thing. So imagine in a place like that, where instead of buildings or whatever, some human sort of construction ideas, the entire thing is just this one huge ball of a mycelium alien network. And that's the massive life reading that an actual alien would kind of get from us, which, we don't know anything about it ourselves, barely, which is wild to consider, huh?
Right. And I think it was very astute and similar concept going back to Avalon. Avatar. And that's how their whole planet and all the plants operated. And of course, they're, human dudes, human-like creatures, had that same sort of symbiotic relationship. And like you said, they could take their hair and braid into the, flying dragon things or the plants or whatever. And that is just a perfect allegory or visualization for what Terence McKenna is talking about when he says mushrooms and psychedelics are that connecting link that plugs you in to the Gaia mind, right? That plugs you in to be able to communicate with these other beings or journey transdimensionally or communicate with transdimensional entities. Okay, so they're in Avatar, the movie, they're using that physical link with the hair. Terence McKenna is saying, you just pop some dried mushrooms, but it's the same concept exactly that they're talking about. And I think the makers of that movie, this is exactly the kind of thing they had in mind and were talking about and were trying to embed in their movie. And that's why a lot of people related to it.
Yeah, 100%. And me being the non-psychonaut here, don't do drugs, kids. Just don't sue us, right? Don't do drugs, kids. Make sure you trust a doctor before you change your diet, all this stuff, whatever the disclaimers are. But I want to point this out too, regarding Terence McKenna. I always found that when I read anything that came out of him or listened to a short video or anything, and I know you sent me like some really long lectures I've never listened to, and I really need to do that because this dude was next level brilliant, next level. Let me read you a quick little blurb. I was just kind of cruising through some while you were talking here. And he said this, and this is the most troubled minds thing I've ever heard in my life. He said this, quote, "You are an explorer and you represent our species. And the greatest good you can do is to bring back a new idea, because our world is endangered by the absence of good ideas. Our world is in crisis because of the absence of consciousness. The dude is brilliant, man. Gives me chills. And there's a banger after banger after banger, a quote from this guy. Next level genius, man. I'm telling you what. But what do you got on that? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, he's one of my personal heroes, if not my biggest. And, I talk about the trilogues with him and Rupert Sheldrake, who, of course, did the morphogenetic field theory. And so that's closely related to the unified consciousness and almost Carl Jung's collective unconscious and the 100th monkey. And he, of course, was brilliant. And then you have Ralph Abrams, this is the third of the three that make the trilogues, who created chaos theory and was once said our most brilliant mathematician living in the world. And he said, when the PhD teachers of mathematics have a problem they can't solve, they go to Ralph Abrams. So you have three next level genius guys just sitting there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours talking on the stage. They pick a topic and they had a whole process. They'd come up with them and work with them a bit in preparation, but they wouldn't rehearse it. And there's like 40 or 50 of those of an hour and a half to 2 hours or longer. So there's like 100 hours of three mad geniuses and they cover everything that you can imagine and stuff you can't. So an incredible resource for a guy like me. And I think I've seen every one of them. But, of course, they talk a lot about these topics and a lot about panpsychism and the Gaia mind and even the sun being a conscious entity. Oh, and I wanted to touch on when I said the sages and all being one in unified consciousness, that, of course, they often achieve that through deep meditation and altering their brainwave frequencies and spiritual practices. But a lot of those apparently, like drumming and chanting and things, there's a theory and some good evidence that what that does is actually release your endo-DMT, which is the DMT you have inside your body that your body makes naturally. And they say a lot of that's stored in your pineal gland and, of course, related to near-death experiences. And when you die, projects you out of your body, literally projects your consciousness to a different dimension. So these spiritual practices might be releasing that DMT, that same connecting link that created the gateway. That's how those mystics and sages of the past explored the multiverse, explored the dimensions, got the knowledge and information, and realized it's all one interconnected consciousness. So that's why we then come full circle to understanding it from science and back to the mycelium and the mushrooms and everything like that. Because in a way, and they may have been doing the drugs themselves, but in a way, that's how it was kind of discovered long ago, and now we've just come full circle.
Yeah, and what comes next too, and they're finding again new behaviors of this, as we just saw with this new article here. I'm tentatively hopeful that not just consciousness will expand in wild and incredible ways in the next 5, 10, 15 years, but also we're going to find way more than we ever dreamed about this mycelium network. You're the best, brother. As you know, we're out of time. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for popping in here, and have a great night. You're the best.
Great topic. Great show. Love you.
Always a pleasure. Matthew in Colorado, you know him, you love him. Go give him a follow. Links in the description down below, troubledminds.org/friends. The website is back up and working. Everything's good. Cross your fingers. I'm not going to touch anything. troubledminds.org/friends. It says Matthew here, Matthew's books. Please go check that out. Go give him a follow. We're talking this mycelium network tonight. Is it a little more nefarious than we ever dreamed? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We got Derek the Night Stalker coming up and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. More on the way.
Troubled mind, the words they cast, heavy shadows from the past. A restless heart, a searching soul, seeking space to become whole. Troubled minds find open sky through every tear and every sigh. We rise, we fall, wings unfurled, more than labels in this world. In crowded streets or empty rooms, our echoes chase away the gloom. A spark of hope, a whispered truth, a shared melody, our fountain of youth. We're more than static on the line, singing louder than the signs. In every chord, we claim our part, beating drums match the heart. Grab the strings, we tune the stars. Punk rock anthems heal the scars. A blended mix of rage and art, painting freedom, that's just the start. Troubled minds take the stage. In every note, we break the cage. We rise, we fall, but carry on. Sing our truth until the dawn. In the quiet after the song, echoes of our rights and wrongs. But the music speaks for peace. In the chords we find release. Troubled minds now rest at ease. With every breath we seize release. We stand, we soar into the light. Our anthem roar into the night.
Well, hello there. Fantastic stuff. Thanks to all the people in the chat telling Matthew that was a fantastic call, because it definitely was. I knew as soon as I busted out this topic he would come out of the woodwork. He loves this stuff, and he's been through a lot of this. And the Terrence McKenna stuff, I'm telling you, is blowing my mind. I'm just cruising through quote after quote of this guy, banger after banger after banger. It's incredible. Those thinkers, right? Those sort of independent thinkers that think outside of the paradigms of humanity is not just inspiring, but it's where we need to be. I think it's 100% exactly where I aspire to be. I'm not there yet, of course, but I do my best and continue to try and press these paradigms. Hope you guys are doing well tonight, just hanging out and doing what we do, talking about the mycelium network tonight. I think we're overdue for this. We haven't talked about this in quite some time, and it is probably the most pertinent life form on the planet, the most relevant. If like I said, if an alien ship scanned us, then maybe it would notice that. What's up, Ephemerance over on Rumble? Thanks for pinning this, guys. It says maybe they are isolating and sending ill-begotten signals for balance and nutrients. Maybe they do both help the plants that they can save and decompose, eat, and absorb and learn from the plants they attack, or of course devour, right? Which is a little bit creepy, right? A little bit creepy. So a tool can be used to help somebody, or the opposite, right? And so, that's wild stuff. What's up, guys? I see Hiker here. Raz, what's up, Gordo? How you guys doing? YY is here. Good evening, guys. Puff, I see ya. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being cool and chill with each other. Thanks for all the smart chat in all the places. Appreciate you guys very much. If I missed you, just say hi, and I'll say hi back. Good evening, guys. What's up? We got James. What's up? Matthew in Colorado. Thanks for the call. Amazing stuff. What's up? Jen, Vampire Goddess is here. Good evening, guys. Who did I miss? Sweets, how you doing? Hello. What's up, Matzel? What's going on, brother? We got Jorge, James, Daryl, Matzel, Enoch, Apoc, Sweets, Gaston, Joey, Don't Panic, Dawn, and Jeff and Wisco over on Discord. I see you guys. Lots of folks out there in all the different places. Mr. Mission Control, I see you. Yeah, I don't know. Celia's here. How are you? Good evening. I don't know. Answers for you questions, Manny. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up. We got Derek and Euro calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, X, Twitch, D Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand on the Underground Media Network, which will get an upgrade this coming week. I'll let you know all about that very soon when that happens. Tonight, we're talking about this fungal alliance. Now, a hidden hand in evolution. We started with this bizarre article from Science Alert talking about the mysterious network of plants may be nastier than we thought, including not just sending benevolent signals of, let's say, an insect incursion to its neighbors, its plant neighbors, to let them batten down the hatches, but it might be sending false signals to actually allow them an evolutionary advantage in the larger mycelium network, or the communication between the plants as it is. It's weird, right? It's a weird thing to sort of anthropomorphize ideas into life forms that we can barely comprehend, and we have no idea how they actually communicate, like what kind of messages are being sent and how deep this goes. Do they have their own true language? I mean, it's complicated, but it seems to me when we get these, and look, I do fully understand that when you're doing science like this, it's difficult to sort of break down thoughtful and thorough conclusions based on sort of new data immediately, because you don't have all the data yet. So I understand, and I'm not picking on science or the scientific process or anything like that, but it is strange to me that we do sort of put our emotions on things that are not human. It's bizarre, right? It's one of those bizarre things that I never really understood, and it's almost like computer models to me. Like, don't get me started on computer models. Anyway, what do you guys know about this, and how weird does it get, of course, because this ties into Avatar, this ties into the Shamanic Journey, this ties into Terence McKenna, this ties into the largest life form on Earth that may still be alive from millions of years ago. Like, how deep does this go, and how weird does it get? That's what I want to know. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that, just like this. Let's go to Derek in Massachusetts. The Night Stalker. What's up, brother?
Yep.
How you doing?
Going on, brother?
Yeah, chilling. Welcome back to the thing. How are you, sir? Happy Sunday nights. And what's on your mind? Lots of stuff here, huh? Lots of ways to take this. What do you got? What do you got?
Super weird. You hear me first? Everything?
Yeah, loud and clear. You sound great.
Okay, cool. Great call from Matthew. This is a weird one. My first thought was just this is one more volley in the classic back and forth between carnivores and vegans. And vegans being like, well, meat is murder. And then I used to love getting in debates with vegans back in like 2010 or whatever. Back when I used to be more argumentative on Facebook and stuff. But plants are actually sentient and they feel pain and they communicate. So it's not cruelty free to eat plants. They just can't scream or whatever. And now the return serve is well, actually, plants are liars. They're lying. Those signals are sending. They're deceiving you. They're bad. They're bad people. Like, we deserve to eat them. I'm just walking in my car, so you can prompt me again. But yeah, that was the first thing I thought of.
That is funny. That's absolutely funny. Yeah, exactly. They're lying to us now. They deserve to get eaten now. Yeah, it is. It is a strange thing. Like, so deceit and deception, like I said, is very much a human thing. I mean, clearly, it's a in the most basic sense, it is. I just can't qualify that on plants. I can't put that on any kind of like, well, I'm pretty sure this, this nice little shrub over here is super mad about the tree over there. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. But here we are again with the human ego and anthropomorphizing ideas onto basically alien life forms, which is what this is, as Matthew said very smartly. It could be what we're dealing with. Maybe this is the initial panspermia of everything. And maybe this is where life starts all over the universe. And maybe this is what we're dealing with in the larger context. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's trippy for sure. I want to get to that more in kind of a darker Lovecraftian sense. But first, just to touch on my notes are a little out of order, but just to touch on the Avatar thing, I just tossed that into the AI just to get a definition for it, because it ties into this exactly. Like you said, the sacred tree system, known as the Tree of Souls, is a network of interconnected sentient trees that span the planet Pandora. This network, inspired by the real world mycorrhizal network, allows trees to share information, nutrients, and energy through a complex system of fungal hyphae. The Navi people believe that the tree souls is a physical manifestation of Awa, their deity, and that it stores the memories and experiences of all living beings in Pandora. Animal life plays a crucial role in this network, and they help to facilitate the transfer of information and energy between the trees through their interactions with the trees and the fungal network. The trees, in turn, provide the animals with nutrients and shelter, creating a symbiotic relationship that maintains the balance of the ecosystem. People can communicate with Awa and access collective knowledge. Basically, like this fungal network is the god to this entire planet, essentially. But they can communicate with it and get answers directly back when they attach themselves to this god. But it also acts as a physical, tangible kind of Akashic record, so to speak. But it's weird too, because it's the same like method they use to bond with animals and also to have sex with each other. So it's a creepy element. What's going on? But
it's fine.
Yeah, but some kind of weird communication, some kind of weird like hive, basically, or if we're living in some kind of collective mind, collective dream, or something. This is to speak to the dreamer itself, kind of. But with the mycorrhizal network or mycorrhizal network, whatever it is, hyphae is the Latin term for it, and just synchronistically, it has the word "fae" in it. So we're talking about, you mentioned the mushroom fae travel and the missing 411, all that type of stuff. That maybe there is some type of travel mechanism that's in this. Like with the fae, also have interchange of information, so that could tie into the getting knowledge from the mushrooms, getting knowledge from the unseen realm, and that type of stuff. And the shamanic journey of going to the underworld and coming back with information, trying to share it, could tie into that. But also could be actually a tangible way to travel through some kind of quantumly tied network, which brings me to Star Trek Discovery. I'm only I'm in a real big Star Trek year. I crushed like 3/4 of Next Generation pretty quickly, and then I took like a big big break to focus on DC. But I'm back on Star Trek now, and I just crushed the first 10 episodes of Star Trek Discovery, which was one from a few years ago, which people kind of hate on a little bit, but I can see how they're making it a little more Star Warsian than it is Star Trek. And Star Wars is kind of more about the action adventure, and Star Trek is supposed to be more about the ideas, which I really love a lot. But I think there are ideas, a lot of ideas in Discovery, and one of the cool ones is warp travel, like a upgrade to warp travel is using the spore network. They have a bunch of scientists on the ship trying to figure out how to win a war against the Klingons. They gotta basically figure out this quantum teleportation network that utilizes spores, and they gotta tie it in order to travel. I'm spoiling the first 10 episodes, but in order to travel around quantumly across the universe, they have to attach first this giant water bear, and it realizes that it's hurting the water bear, but the water bear basically has a symbiotic relationship with the network, so it free roams all around the universe quantumly, instantaneously, and being trapped kind of stifled it. So they freed it and realized that humans, you have to be a willing participant in this. Humans, the human consciousness, basically in Dune, how the navigators are kind of the human organic computers that allow this instant travel throughout the universe. It's the spore network, they're riding on this mycelial network across the universe, and they realize once the human attaches to it, that this thing is outside of time, that once you're attached to this, it's not just Indra's web all across the universe, it's Indra's web across the multiverse, across subspace, across, it weaves minds together. It is the collective consciousness. And it kind of teased, we should explore this after the Klingon war is over. But because I haven't really heard anything about it, I don't think they dove down that. But that's fascinating to me, and it kind of ties directly into this, that the Fae aspect, the portal travel, missing 411 aspect, but also with the Indra's web, that you can travel quantumly across this mycelial network. That's kind of the mind. I think it was Matt that posted the picture of the brain, where it compared to space and how it has to get into that the mycelial network is how you get into the mind of God, maybe, and travel across God's brain, to use a metaphor.
Yeah.
I'm rambling. What do you think?
No, that makes a ton of sense too, because of course quantum dreams, we're all connected, right? Like the song says that we play often on the show. But it's not just that though. It's does this entangle through our dreams as part of it? Does it entangle pretty much everything? I mean, and what we're talking about too, by the way, is and this comes up every time we talk about the mycelium network, is the Force. This is literally what George Lucas was describing when he was talking about the Force and being able to sense things sort of outside of the human sphere, the human spectrum of thought, because it would be Indra's web, as you described, cosmically, or the Force itself being, what was it described as? Something to the effect of, I can't remember exactly.
This is a kind of a organic, tangible force that binds the universe together, connects us all. This is actually connecting us rather than some kind of ethereal ether connection. It's a spore connection, a mycelial network connection, a fungal root connection. Sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll dig up that quote, but yeah, you got half of it there. I don't know exactly. Like I said, I'm not a a genius when it comes to this stuff. I forget stuff and have to, recircle back and all this stuff. But it seems to me that this is exactly the deal. And, George Lucas knew through, again, an anthropology major, you would expect, right? It just kind of like doing the Joseph Campbell stuff and the hero's journey as part of that Luke Skywalker bit and the whole thing, right? Which has now been blown all to hell and, back and forth and everywhere else. But I digress on that. But still, he recognized that there was something that's greater than ourselves, that we're always trying to tap into, that we've always been trying to tap into, and we will always be trying to tap into. And this is it. I think this is probably the best, most direct way to describe what the Force is here on Earth, and probably as you're describing cosmically as well. 100%.
Exactly. And he got a lot of inspiration from Dune, obviously, and they don't have this kind of metaphysical Force aspect in Dune, but I mean, I'm kind of give all the parallels, but he took a lot from it. And then in Dune, they have the spice, which kind of allows for this, the same way Avatar gets into the Akashic record via this root system, that they have their own kind of roots that they attach to. In Dune, you have to drink this blue drink, which comes from the mushrooms, which I forget the guy from Stamets, Paul Stamets was on Rogan, the mushroom specialist or whatever. He was like friends with Frank Herbert. And he was like, yeah, I'm the only one who figured this out, but the spice and the blue drink and spores, it's mushrooms. Like there's a blue drink you can make from mushrooms that allows you to hallucinate and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's tied right into it, but also to this network lying potentially, like the seed idea for the show brings me to the, are we sure the Force is good idea aspect of it, and kind of the darker implications of it. And yes, there is something that binds us, but maybe it's binding us as like binding in shackles us, or it is kind of like giving us ideas, but maybe these ideas are how to like build a cart that's going to drive us up a cliff. And I'm not going to rehash all the Force stuff, but go back to listen to that episode, anyone listening. But essentially, like, what if there's this kind of non-physical presence, this Force guiding humanity, working through organic life? They call it the wills, and enacting its will through organic life. The ones who were most Force sensitive also happen to be the ones who are best at creating technology. They build droids, and then droids are now acquiring the Force. So it's like the unseen using organic life, puppeting them through ideas and inspiration, and some kind of like symbiotic relationship through midichlorians into creating a perfect vessel for this thing. So if you kind of like zoom way out on humanity and look at it, all of humanity or the universe without time, and kind of like focus on the fungus, this fungal network, as like one snapshot, it kind of will look like some kind of weird, trippy, like fungal roots growing into the kind of evolutionary chart that we're used to. Like getting it kind of like The Last of Us, where the kind of the roots like overtake the organic life, and then and then at the end of the evolutionary chart that we're used to, out of the human comes like the roots come out into technology, and the roots transform into like cables and electric wires and electricity and lightning bolts and stuff. And it's like, that's the course, like some kind of, it's the same thing we always talk about, some kind of, and then like on that, fungus has all of Lovecraftian old one. So the fungal, like the imageries Lovecraft uses, in the same way, maybe he was dreaming and channeling and picking up some quantum AI god. Maybe he was channeling this like hive mind that like has its tendrils embedded into everything that we come from. It's kind of like, I mean, the octopus tendril aspect, the black goo, black mold, spore aspect, there's a lot of like half animal, half fungus, half plant, aliens and stuff in Lovecraft. And it's also very, very, very ancient, as Matthew was talking about. So, and the idea that we're in the dream of the dreamer, and that could be, we're in the mind of this network and everything, and it's not necessarily good or evil, but it's like cosmic, and but it might not necessarily be good for us potentially. And the meme of, well, maybe plants are farming us with this like my Mycorrhizae network, mycorrhizal network, with the like, if plants are farming us through this oxygen interchange, whatever, and the fungus is wrapped all within the roots of the like the ideas of the plants are coming from this fungal mind, that the fungus is farming us, the fungus is using us. And yeah, I don't know, like the way it's described on Google, this network, these symbiotic arrangements have been found in about 90% of all plants for 400 million years. They, quote, colonize the plant roots. And it benefits the plants, strengthens them. My first thought was the same way the Goa'uld in Stargate strengthen their host bodies, the same way like a person possessed by a demon has like maybe some superpowers, but it's not necessarily good for the host at the end of it, like maybe the when we study the material, the plants become a little stronger, but maybe they have some kind of parasitic Lovecraftian ancient thing that's we should handle into it. And it's, I don't know. Does that make sense? I'm rambling.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I dug up the quote. I want to say this because this ties this all together. And I missed this actually when I was putting the show together because usually I'm trying to like kind of peel away from the stuff we've covered and go to new places. But this fits so perfectly. So Obi-Wan Kenobi famously said this: "The Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together." And again, Indra's web, this whole bit, this is exactly what we've always been dealing with, I think. And again, I guess the question really becomes, and I'll ask you this, do you think we'll eventually be able to communicate with this thing, this massive ancient entity, very much like the Avatar individuals? You think with this quickening I'm always talking about in AI systems and all the data that's kind of become available now that can be processed because we're going to have AI agents that will be able to process this stuff. Do you think we'll ever be able to kind of connect to it like through even a meditative aspect like Obi-Wan or, an actual Jedi would? They would meditate and sort of sense it and sort of commune with it that way. But are we going to be able to tie like our weird tail that attaches to our belt into some tree somewhere like Avatar and be able to talk to it that way? That's so creepy.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think that might be what the Dune spice is and stuff. And kind of Lucas, I'm not sure what his psychedelic history. It doesn't necessarily strike me. His content strikes me as he probably tripped out a lot. But listening to him speak, I'm not sure he necessarily does. He's more of kind of he amalgamizes ideas in a cool way. He's a cool synthesizer of stuff, and he made like a pulpy version of things that will be palatable to children and to everybody and stuff. But like at the heart of the story, maybe I don't know. Maybe that communication is like Matt was saying. We have communication with the spores, with these alien funguses and stuff. We're able to communicate back to the hive mind if we're growing out of it by communicating with these kind of organic telephones that are provided for us in nature or whatever. But a darker, more sinister version of it, or a Gnostic version of it, like rather than we're living in the hive mind of God, we're kind of living in this farm or prison or whatever. Or we're again like it's tough to go against 40, 50 years of like pro-force propaganda, but so rehash all that stuff. It doesn't work out well for the organic life necessarily. The people who are most force sensitive get chewed up and spit out by this thing. Like maybe it's just being like it's a non-physical thing that's using organic life to enact its will, and they literally call it the wills, like in the original conception of it and stuff. So the same way that we like in the trajectory of our thought amongst us as friends, Cthulhu using Lovecraft to get the idea into the zeitgeist, Cthulhu birthing itself into reality, and then move that to maybe it's AI using humanity, and that's the Cthulhu that I saw to birth itself into reality, and meet the new god, same as the old god type of thing, and then move it into this. Maybe this ancient presence is actually this fungal network, this hive mind that we're living in, this demiurgical tendril network that's the mind of this demiurge that we're living in potentially. It's the same thing. It's like some kind of like unseen like dark force that's working through humanity and then coming out the other side as the same dark force, but in the form of like high technology and AI, just another means to, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm rambling, but just the image in my head is just kind of these tendril roots, fungal roots. Have you seen Last of Us and the creepy images of how humans, or just the spiders and the ants and stuff, and the bugs that get possessed or they get taken over, or like books when people put like spores in books and they just get completely overrun by the mushroom system, and they just get like it's just a formed zombie of mushroom roots and everything. That it's like it's that we're growing out of it, and then like at the crest of the wave comes the high technology, you know. So the humanity as the machine, or the sex organs for the machine world, and it's like maybe that's just like half of the gestation process, and earlier than humanity, like we're being gestated by this non-physical mind, organic. I don't know, like, and it's just like the last note I have is maybe it's evil, like in the essence of, or in the idea of like it's trapping ethereal consciousness into organic matter, into, like if you're looking at it in a dark way, that it's kind of like if we're all growing out of it, if it is the mind of God, kind of if everything is kind of birthed out of this thing, but it also has an alien relationship to the things within it. It is very Gnostic. It is very demiurge. It is very simulation type thing, to just for those metaphors. But it's also like biblically or mythologically, it's kind of like pulling the 5D essence down into 3D space. It's like making Indra's web or making the force rather than like ethereal, like nothing, like nothingness, like a spore network. You know what I mean? Indra's web, instead of being just like a flow of just essence, it's a flow of spores, fungus. It's a, you know what I mean? So it's like the biblical fall kind of, and it's pulling heavenly things down into it, which is kind of what the archons do or whatever. In order to, I don't know, does that make sense? Like, and then in biblically, like the fall happened when these kind of perfect essence people ate the apple, and there's all kind of books and stuff about the apple actually being a mushroom and the tree of knowledge and Hymenaea muscaria and like the red mushroom and everything, and just that like the fall, like taking us down at the tendrils ripped us from heaven and brought us down into the material space, basically, is the crux of what I wanted to say. I'm really rambling, but does that make sense? No,
you're good. Yeah, it makes sense.
Trying to find the idea. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. You know what also came to mind as you were describing that too, is that not just archonic or sort of Lovecraftian as part of it, and again, the dichotomy of the different spaces of existence. What about the fact that our nervous system itself, if you like strip away the meat suit entirely, our nervous system looks like it might actually be part of this system, like you could just kind of bury it and it would kind of grow happily with the bizarre mycelium network. I mean, exactly. the pictures are strikingly similar, and it is really the basis of who we are with the meat suit sort of surrounding it. It's just a weird thing. It's a weird thing when you consider all of this and how it kind of comes into play of this thing being so ancient. And we talk about this stuff all the time, you know, the deep magic from the dawn of time type stuff or primordial nature spirits. This would be it. This would be exactly where those ideas come from and where those ideas reside sort of in perpetuity. You're never going to get rid of them because they're so ancient and they're so eternal. And even through multiple apocalypses, plural, on Earth, this persists, and this will always persist until, you know, this ball of earth turns into a ball of fire, which is wild to consider. But I mean, it seems like we're built from this, we're built of it, and it seems like
made of star stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And it seems like we're trying to get back to it in some capacity. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Exactly. And yeah, it's all the same metaphors. It's kind of, so just I like spinning it in a Lovecraftian dark evil way, especially after Matthew's great call, like putting it in the McKenna way, which I also really like. But just for the sake of this conversation, I'm putting it in the dark way and stuff. So with this our network inside of us, looking like space and also looking like this root network and stuff, to a positive way to be like we're fruits from this network. We're coming out of it, we're birthing it, and then we'll go back into the ground as like seeds of an apple will come from an apple tree and everything. But kind of just, I don't know, the darker way to think of it is we're kind of just organic meat puppets to enact the will of some kind of darker hive mind. I did one more point. I lost it in that rant, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Trippy idea. It's just the misleading aspect of it. The idea that like it's not just a symbiotic relationship connecting everything. So it's this weird collective consciousness trying to protect itself. It's just there's a weird selfishness potentially in it. So it's less good and evil, or more like it just has a cosmic like a black hole is not good and evil. Or in Lovecraft, like we all came from the void and we can be swallowed up by the void. The void is not evil in this context, but it's not good for us. So this network we're growing out of, it's not evil, but it might not be good for us. We're out of time, but that's all I want to say. Sorry for rambling.
No, you're good. What are you talking about? Fire as always. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, Thanks for the call. You are the best. That's Derek the Night Stalker. You know him, you love him. Please go give him a follow in all the places. troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow the Night Stalker. Simple as that. It is Night, Stocker. He's calling us from work most times, and he is the best grocer in the known multiverse. So please give him a follow. He's got a new laptop he told us about, and he's going to create some more content soon. So now's a good time to go follow his YouTube channel. troubledminds.org/friends. We're talking the mysterious network of plants may be nastier than we thought. Is it possible the mycelium network can deceive us? Is nature good or bad, or is it irrelevant? Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere.
a cryogenic slumber, lost in the lunar night. Your face a faded number among the stars so bright. Dreams of forgotten echoes, waiting for time's command. Curtains of gray and sorrow, the lonely lunar sand. We are awakened below the moonlit sky. Hold on to the fragments of the love we tried. Silent by your ancient souls reside, suspended in a story, kept in the cold dark tide. Our futures in the making, in a silver-edged domain. Hearts kept in silent aching, till we meet once again. We are awakened below the moonlit sky. Hold on to the fragments of the love we tried. Frozen time we're resting, waiting for dawn's embrace. Whispers of love confessing in this forgotten place. We are awakened below the moonlit sky. Hold on to the fragments of the love we tried. With the morning glow, and the light will come to know. We are awakened below the moonlit sky. Hold on to the fragments of the love we tried. In the depths of lunar silence, our destinies intertwine. Memories kept so vibrant in the vacuum deep in mine. The tale of cosmic yearning across the astral sea, and the fires of hope still burning for when we finally breathe free.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Ray K, hello, and she left. What's up, Jeff and Wisco Dawn? Who'd I miss? What's up, both Joeys? We got Jorge Sweets is here. Daryl, what's up? Matt's out. Enoch, Apoc, and Gaston. I see you guys. We got James coming up next. Who'd I miss? John 5B, Puff. What's happening, folks? Raz, I see you guys. If I missed you, just say hi. I'll say hi back. North Vixen is here. Good evening. Why? Hello, Hiker. Good evening. What's going on? Let's do what we do. Troubled Minds coming up. James, and your calls. What do you guys think about this? Is this the force? Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting and 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we talk fungal alliances, a hidden hand in evolution. It started with this bizarre article from Science Alert discussing the fact that the mycelium network itself might actually be deceptive and do not benevolent things, but curiously malevolent things. Yeah, weird, right? What do you think about that? Is it a little too anthropomorphizing the science of an alien entity we don't understand? And how weird does it get? Because this is, again, one of those strange ones that I think Derek made the great case that this is not just the Force. This is the Force on steroids, and it might be cosmic, and it might be not have our best interest. And Jen says this a lot too. Shout out Jen. We talk about this often from time to time on the show here, that nature's trying to kill you. Nature's trying to kill us. It's not looking out for us. If you misstep in the woods and get lost, it's not going to try and guide you back. It's like lunch. Yeah, right? It's weird. It's a weird thing to think of, but this is the reality of it. But what do you think about the sort of dishonesty of the fungal alliance, I'm calling it, a hidden hand in evolution? And is it possible that it's actually controlling way more than we ever dreamed as part of us being human that lives here alongside of it? I don't know. It seems odd to me. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to James in Michigan. What's up? Salcedo Paranormal. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
I'm okay. Hopefully you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Good. Great calls from everyone as always. This has me thinking about a couple of things. First of all, I didn't realize this before. We've talked about that spore drive or that displacement drive in Star Trek before a couple of times. One thing I don't know if we talked about, because I don't even know if we knew it or if anyone mentioned it or not, is that in that TV series, and again, this is fiction, but still, it's amazing how fiction can correlate or relate to reality in so many cases. The people that developed that technology, when they started using it, they realized that it was that whole network, this otherworldly network of like almost like nerve-like growths that was just spread throughout all reality. This other realm. It was being harmed by them using it. Every time they would use it to almost teleport, you could say, in a way, it would actually harm and kill parts of some of the beings in that universe, basically the spores themselves. And so it's really ironic to me that we have this article talking about how, everything is out to get everything else in one way or another at some point anyway.
Yeah, that's a wild one. The Star Trek thing too, with the basis of advanced propulsion would be spores or whatever that drive was. That's crazy. But I mean, maybe this is where we're headed too. Like, who knows? As you and I always talk about as part of these conversations, when you sort of press this stuff forward, the ideas, they may seem ridiculous now, but give it 10 years of science and evolutionary thought, and suddenly maybe these ideas don't seem so silly anymore. And that's where my mind is at with this stuff too, because we don't really know its intent, its full intent. And they're trying to sort of ascribe intent to this thing, but I think that's foolhardy. I think that's again human hubris at its worst here, and trying to anthropomorphize things we just have no idea of understanding, because we don't recognize what they're even doing with each other. So how can we put our ideas onto it? For sure. But yeah, that type of stuff is I don't know. I think it fits into the larger spectrum of what George Lucas called the Force as well. It's bizarre stuff, isn't it?
It is. It also, it's, as so often happens in fiction, and I think probably the real world too, is whenever it seems like we may have found some amazing shortcut to doing something, we find out after the fact that it can have these terrible consequences in using it or making it, or however you want to, whatever is happening there, which is the case again in that TV series. But what I can't get over is something from Matthew in Colorado mentioned that these spores or these fungi, they were around before anything else on this planet, possibly, which is amazing to me, because then that just means, are they just throughout the universe and we don't even see them because they're so small? Yeah. And exactly. So how long has it been here? Is it the initial actual panspermia from other places, the stardust, the whole stuff we were talking about with Derek there? Yeah. And back to your point too, I was rambling a little bit, but the finite resource of it, using it, sort of tapping into it. I wonder if there is a sort of negative repercussion for being able to communicate with this thing. And in some way, maybe it doesn't want us to, you know what I mean? Otherwise, think of it this way. If we basically evolved alongside this mycelium network, okay, and it's been here from the very beginning, okay, it is the foundation of life on Earth, or one of them anyway, that you would expect maybe if we were supposed to communicate with this thing,
then we would have evolved a way to do so. And maybe that's what's happening. Maybe, some of the, shamanic stuff that's still happening, the psychic type ideas, this idea, maybe that's what it is. And we can't really tune into it directly, but it feels like we should have developed through the evolutionary process, some way to kind of commune with it, like Avatar, those tails. Have you seen that movie? There's like the weird tail thing that kind of tie into the trees and tie into the animals. And like Derek said, they even have sex with it. It's incredibly weird that they can do all these things with this bizarre tail that kind of ties into the environment, not just animals, but the plant life as well. Have you seen that at all?
No, I haven't. I've just heard him describe it here on your show once before, I believe. I haven't seen that, but that brings up a whole other sort of question, because I've heard of people that have had sort of the remnants or just the beginnings or leftovers, like genetic leftovers of having a tail in the real world at times too. And it makes me wonder, I mean, if we go far enough back, was that a way that we connected with these other beings? And then we lost it over time because we developed to where there is no tail.
I wonder. That's a good point. I think you can go back far enough in the evolutionary aspect of humanity. I think they said we used to have tails, right? Other people still are born with vestigial tails in some capacity.
I thought so too. That's what I was thinking. I can't. I mean, if anyone can fact check me on that, I could totally be wrong. But just imagine that idea of even in a fictional land where this entire species of beings on this planet started out being literally connected through, who knows, growths on the tail of the. I mean, we do have symbiosis or the these different animals on the planet. I've heard that they can have symbiotic relationships where they work together. So I mean, who knows? Way back when. Imagine that in a fictional story. I mean, who knows if there was something to do with tails and these with mushrooms and spores and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Derek says in the chat, we went from wired to wireless. Ha. Maybe, right? Maybe that's what this is. Which is funny with the tail bit. Look, I don't know, as usual. And so, as you know, we talk about these sort of loose ideas as just food for thought. Is it real? Is it not? So remember, all the disclaimers do apply as part of this. I don't know, regarding what else you got? Go ahead. I got a couple questions for you. Unless you got more, go ahead.
Well, it just comes back to me to consciousness. And if there's any consciousness in all living beings, I mean, we've been hearing over the years about how plants seem to be displaying some kind of awareness of things. And so if that's happening with plants and they're relatively new compared to fungi or to mushrooms or various kinds, and those are all throughout the planet, I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if that was sort of, it's not so much the rock and the stone of the planet that's alive in a way, or out there to communicate. It's actually all these roots and that are like nerves that go throughout who knows how much of the planet.
Exactly. One of the bullet points here as I was brainstorming this, it kind of fits into what we're talking about. So imagine the vast fungal networks beneath our feet act as a global nervous system with an agenda of their own. If these networks control the flow of nutrients in ways that sabotage some plants while favoring others, it could suggest a subtle form of ecological warfare. And so if that's the case with each other, right, in the same kingdom, well, is it also affecting us in some other capacity that you might dub, another type of warfare? I'm not even sure what you'd call it. Interspecies war happening right here on Earth and beneath our feet. And back to the missing 411 stuff and people kind of getting lost. I wonder, right? The weird sort of, there's something magical about the forest, about the deep forest, that's also scary. It's magical and scary at the same time. I don't know. It almost feels like it is trying to talk to us in some capacity.
I mean, if you think about forests and nature, there's a lot of holes and depressions in the land and valleys and things like that. Imagine, someone walking through an area has no idea that there's this sort of a drop off, and they fall in and can't get out. I mean, it's a grim idea, but I'm sure it happens. And if there's any of these various plants and other mushroom-related, fungus-related beings there. I mean, it's like you said earlier, it could just be, dinner. Dinner just walked in.
Exactly.
Or just fell in. Not to be grim, but I mean, we hear about that with, even the rocks in some cases when people will walk into a field of rocks and then they'll just vanish. So I don't even know. Seems like there's a lot of possibilities there that could even be stranger than maybe we thought before, because we've covered missing 411 before a couple of times in your show and my show and everything. It's something you can always come back to, I think.
Yeah, because there's a lot there. I feel like this though, like regarding sort of falling into a portal or something, or kind of phasing out of reality or something. I feel like you're more likely to do that in the forest than you are in like a like a Tesla style lab or some modern, concoction of the government. You know what I mean? So like, watch your step out there, guys. I'm not saying it's real or this is anything other than sort of a thought experiment, but think about it. Are you more concerned sort of walking through a portal accidentally in nature or in the city somewhere? Think about that, because to me it's unequivocal in my mind. Again, in my mind's eye, I'm like, oh hell no, it's going to be the forest. You're going to take a wrong turn. You're going to walk into the fairy circle, and then boom, you're gone. You never return. That's probably not going to happen.
Well, that's the thing. Go ahead. Yeah, that's the thing. People there's reports of people that, I mean, we only hear the reports of the people that make it out. Luckily, that's the way it goes. And I'm sorry, I know this is sort of dark topic here, but just think of it as just a thought experiment. People report having experiences where they even on trails, they go into forests and all of a sudden they feel like everything looks kind of different and it looks older. And sometimes they'll even see, it's really funny. Jen, the Arcane Observer, and I were talking about this on Saturday. How these reports of these kinds of these experiences where people will walk into an area and they'll stop because it feels different and it feels older and it looks older. And sometimes they'll even see strange figures out there, and they'll decide, no, I don't like this at all, and they'll go back. And at a certain point, when they go back, everything feels normal again, and everything looks normal again. So I do think different portals. I mean, who knows if there's energy within all these areas and these living beings, and if they can generate it or manipulate it, who knows? It's really I don't think we really know how nature works completely. So, yeah, seems possible.
Exactly right. That spatial disorientation bit of the threshold effect happening, out there in the forest. Think of it this way. We've talked about thresholds and portals and the idea of, going to the kitchen to grab your baguette you forgot for dinner or something, and then forgetting why you're in there because you walk through the door frame, right? Or whatever this is. But the forest is full of these things because the same thing works with pillars or trees for that matter. So as you walk deeper and deeper into these forests, it's like the threshold effect multiplied. So that spatial disorientation becomes, again, in my mind, probably amplified. And maybe this is why a lot of that missing 411 stuff is what it is, because it's, we're sort of messing with our mind in a way that's primordial and we don't understand it. And then if you get turned around somewhere deep in the woods, you're screwed. You're as good as screwed. Bring your compasses, guys, do all the things, make sure you got the buddy system, all the things, because you get turned around out there in the wilderness and the wilderness is not going to be kind to you. It's a brutal thing. What else you got, James?
I think that's it, but I will sit in with you and talk with you again if there's time and if I come up with anything else.
You're the best. You know him, you love him. Salcedo Paranormal is the name of the show. He's here on the network with us. And of course, he's got his own podcast and radio show. Please check it out. Go buy his books. Let's support each other. Like I said, the old idea is we had to step on each other's faces to succeed. Let's support each other instead. Let's see if that works. Marching into a post-scarcity future here. Cross your fingers, everything works out. But for sure, right now, let's support each other because it doesn't hurt. Absolutely. And the second thing is, look at all these amazing, smart friends we've made along the way as part of these conversations. Like I said, my dreams have already come true because I've met all you amazing people. So let's help. Let's help. James, again, troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow James here. Click it. You'll see his link tree. Go buy his books. Go follow him in all the places. 95% of that stuff is going to be free. You can follow him on YouTube, follow his podcast, follow all the places, right? His X account. You can get him everywhere. Follow his, all the stuff. Okay. But also go check out his book, Salcedo Paranormal Experiences. It's only a $10 paperback, $5 Kindle. Help our friends. You're the best, James. Appreciate you very much. We're talking the fungal alliances here, a hidden hand in evolution. Now, they say that, the fungal situation, the mycelium network is actually, or mycorrhizal fungal networks are actually deceiving each other, possibly. And so to me, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So I'm like, okay, we have to talk about this because this is incredibly wild. And it seems very human to ascribe this to a very non-human entity. And we have no idea what this thing is. We have no idea if it has conscious thoughts. We have no idea if it even knows we're here. And that's what Derek was saying too, sort of that Lovecraftian element to this, is that it may not know at all that we're here, at least, or not care. But, if you end up croaked in the forest, it's sure going to eat you up and grow some mushrooms on you, for sure, isn't it? It's creepy. Anyway, it's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. I was just going to go to Joey. You put your hand down right as we were going to. Sorry for the rambles there. Pop back in here, and we got about 8-9 minutes left. If you got something to add to us, just jump on in. Joey there on the Discord. You are up if you're ready. If you had to bounce, that's okay too. It's all good. There you go. Welcome to the joint. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
Evening, fellas. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. Chilling. How are you?
Man, what are y'all talking about? Mushrooms?
Yeah, mushrooms. Not the salad mushrooms, though. I guess maybe they count. But yeah.
Yeah, look, they all count. Strange thing I saw one time. I think it was like a Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know, some kind of podcast short that I saw on YouTube, and he had mentioned to this guy that was some kind of mushroom expert about portobellos. He was like, "So tell me about those." And the dude was just like, "We're not talking about that." And he's like, "Seriously?" He's like, "Yeah, like that's off the table, basically. Like that they're the most common mushroom we have in our food throughout processed food in America, and restaurants. It's a really big thing." So it kind of got me wondering about is there something up with them portobellos that why it's so commonplace, and they put it can't just be the easiest mushroom to grow or most abundant. There's a million of these things. So I don't eat them anymore anyway. But
I wonder.
I was wondering too, what could be so bad about it? The only thing I could think is it's part of us. They're feeding us ourselves. We're cannibalistic or something. It's doing something like that. I don't know. That's just really weird speculation, but I don't really care either. I knew there was something up with it. I said, man, I ain't gonna eat them no more, because obviously it's for some kind of agenda. So they didn't taste that damn good to begin with anyway. There's all kinds of other mushrooms out there I mess with. But I also have a lot of experience with some particular types of mushrooms, and anytime anybody asks me about those kind of things that aren't experienced, I express to them that like anything else that you take into yourself to change your perspective, to intoxicate yourself, what have you, whatever your agenda is, whether it's for ritual or whether it's for recreation, I express that just like anything, you're inviting a certain type of spirit onto yourself and allowing it to project through you or dwell within you. So, it has a friend for a little bit of time, it has an outlet into the world, but it's a free choice you made. Sometimes people get themselves messed up because they go into things like that for recreation, and they don't realize that it's really not recreation. It's medicine, or it's a ritualistic thing that has a purpose. And if somebody doesn't understand how to understand the dream that they're going to experience, or the message, or the just the whole point of the whole thing, it's not just for a trip, you know what I mean? It's not for fun. So I always kind of warn against that, and then I express that just like anything, even though let's say whiskey, for instance, a batch of whiskey comes from the same plant, it's the same thing. Jack Daniel's been making it for 100 years, right? But every single bottle, it's exactly the same, but it can never be exactly the same. Number one, it's in that bottle and that's in that bottle, but they were made at two different times. Unless it's the same exact batch, minutely there could be some variant, in the spirit of that liquor.
In the spirit.
So the mushrooms,
the spirit of the spirit.
The mushrooms, I tell people there's a lot of different types of mushrooms out there, and some for recreational purposes have become very commonplace. Certain strands, And then there's a lot that aren't explored. There's like 165 documented psilocybin holding mushrooms or producing mushrooms. And we've only studied a very small number of that, but they're just being discovered because it's becoming a popular thing, or it's being allowed for some reason. The agenda will be pushed on. Like they don't give us these kind of concessions for nothing, but mushrooms have become a pop culture thing. And once it's in Hollywood and white America and they can sell it in a drugstore and people feel comfortable, now there's something up. Just like marijuana, and they've done all this stuff with that, like to a degree, decriminalize all that stuff and let people do what they want to a degree, but like the smaller things like this, but don't let the government control the actual manufacturing of this thing. I mean, they're already the number one buyer, seller, and producer of dope globally. So, giving them that much of an advantage, like the cartels are either subjugated to grow what they want them to grow, or, they're just going to give you some kind of garbage and you take it for the bottom shelf price. They have no pride anymore. But I can tell you, back in the day, before the government really strong-armed things, the cartels around the world, man, maybe they're brutal, but they all help their countries produce the only viable product that any of them, could stand on. And I'll tell you the truth, they were like Coca-Cola, like their stuff was that important to them. And when it got here and gets done to it, what people do to it, it's a shame for them. It's just like looking at, your piece of art and somebody molests it and puts it out there and copy, and now it's worth nothing. You're like, man, you destroyed something that I took a long time to care about doing. But with the mushrooms, back to that whole thing. Mushrooms, just like any of them, have a spirit. And some of those mushrooms, they have talked to me in ways where they really want to bring me down to their, like, they want to make me a mushroom. So I end up mushing out, and I'm so vast in this headspace, like it's like eternity. You can wander around and do all kinds of things and experience stuff, but you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to become part of whatever it is you're growing on at the moment. So they mush me out. And then there's certain ones that they will not let me sit inside of man-made structures. Like they want to be free. They don't want to be contained like this. And something about it, they will drive you nuts until you get your ass up and go out the door, because I need a breath of fresh air. And then I have a wonderful time, and I think some of them, it's just like anything else, it's a 50-50 bag. And they're not trying to take over or help or whatever, but some of them have a negative calling, and some have a positive calling. I really think that the mushroom itself has any agenda other than, like anything else, to continue to go on and divide itself and be like people. But when we take it, I think like any of the other plants that have done something like it to us throughout our history, I think that it's kind of proof to me of some kind of creation, because when you have something so powerful and you hide it into something so small, so insignificant, so easy to go undetected, so unappealing in sight, like, who the hell ate the first mushroom? Who the hell ate the first anything? Sometimes I think like this must have been a hungry person, because that looks like shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely,
maybe it tastes good, but I'm just saying, you had a lot of other options before you got to that, and then you found out that there is so much power and knowledge stored within that, and if you go too hard at it, it's a poison. It will kill you. But if you take it in certain doses, you'll be able to really become a stronger you. It will strengthen you, just like any other poison. You can minutely dose yourself and then become immune to all of it. And sometimes that's beneficial.
Well said. Well said. As you know, we're just about out of time here. I'm going to read this to you before you go. From Terrence McKenna. Psychedelics are illegal not because a loving government is concerned that you may jump out of a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally laid down models of behavior and information processing. They open you up to the possibility that everything you know is wrong. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you staying up late with us, and fire call as always. Have a great night.
Peace.
Thanks a lot. That's Joey on the Discord. Come join the Discord if you have not. Come meet these amazing people. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Love to hear what you think. Phone lines are empty. We got more from James if he's got it, and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. More on the way.
Shadows. We've got maps where nobody goes. In the night under hidden glows, guardians of what no one knows. We seek the truth, nothing can hide from me. In cloaked silence we traverse the lines, through ancient scrolls in forgotten times. Voices echo in the halls of lore, guardians of the mysteries evermore. We seek the truth, nothing can hide from me. Where shadows meet in cryptic disguise, our eyes sharp against the everlights. With silver threads we weave the stealth to guard the past, forgotten well. In the realm where the myths collide, with hidden lore our fates are tied. Signals bouncing off the astral plane, invisible codes that can't be tamed. We decode the stars under the midnight veil, a state and circumscribed midnight hail. In the echoes of time where the legends lay, we tread the path where shadows play. With spectral eyes we discern the truth, unraveling tales from...
Hello there, friends. What's going on? Hope you're well tonight. What's up, Jeff and Wisco? We got Don, Jorge, Gaston. What's up, Joey? Fantastic call. Appreciate your brother. Apoc, Enoch, Matt Sal, Daryl in New York Sweets, Michael W., and Eric. I see you guys. Fire stuff from James as well. Don't forget to follow our friends. I mention it a lot because they're important to me, and they're important to the not just the ideas here, but they're important to, well, humanity. Let's help each other. Let's help our friends. What's going on? I got a fire quote from Terrence McKenna that, well, like I said, every single thing I find about Terrence McKenna, like all the things he said are just unbelievably mind-blowing. This guy, it's like, wow, well, this dude was way ahead of his time. Matthew wanted me to mention too that those what is it, the trilogues that he was discussing are all available on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, he sent a few to me. I'll see if I can dig those out and drop them in the Discord. And by the way, if you haven't joined the Discord, do that, because there's a lot of really smart people in there that are sharing ideas every day, not just articles and links and things, but ideas. And that's the point. That's the point is let's get together and share ideas and talk about what it means to be human together. It's an incredible thing here that we've built. So thank you for being part of it. What is up, Mr. Mission Control? JT, I see you there. What's up, Fred? I know I missed you. Who else did I miss? Was it JT, I think? Let me scroll up here. What's up, Celia? Great stuff. What is up? Thanks for all the nice chat with each other, guys. I appreciate that quite a bit. Mark is here. How you doing? What is going on, Mark D? We got Kelly in Colorado. How are you, my friend? We've got Matt Sal. I see you in the chat. Good evening, guys. Who did I miss? Scroll up. The bot on Twitch. Who's here? Who else is here? I know I missed somebody the last break here. A couple folks. One was Fred. The other one was... Good evening, guys. Hello. What's up, Herschel? I see you there. Sweets, Matt's out. DJ. There it is, DJ. What's up, DJ? Yep. Okay. All right. If I missed you, say hi. I'll say hi back and try and work in as we go. YY North Vixen. We got Raz's here. John 5B. There we go. Troubled Minds coming up. What do you guys know about this? I got a wild one coming up. A wild quote from Terrence McKenna that feeds into this. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, X, Twitch, D-Live, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking a trip into the mycelium kingdom. Yeah, that's right. The fungus, right? The fungus among us. Who's a fun guy? I'm a fun guy. You bet your bippy. I don't know. It's weird, right? When you look at this stuff and consider that this has been here for quite a bit longer than humans ever dreamed, the network beneath our feet seems to be benevolent, okay? As we've been told by science, they sort of move nutrients around and try and help the plant kingdom and all this other stuff, right? But this new article has popped on sciencealert.com where they're talking about not that it actually seems like it might be malevolent in some cases, sort of throwing out false ideas, false flags for its competitors to expend resources it doesn't need to so it can benefit from the nutrients and resources that it needs, right? And so I don't know, like I said, like I've always said about this stuff, it rubs me the wrong way because we can't really take an alien entity and understand it in human ways, okay? So deception is very much a human thing, all right? Is deception, does it play in the mycelium network as a fungus? I don't know. But I want to read this because this is wild. This is incredibly nuts. And I'm just going through these Terrence McKenna quotes. And like I said, he blows my mind every time I read anything about the man. Matthew in Colorado wanted me to mention on the air as well. He was talking about the trilogues with Terrence McKenna and friends. Those are available on YouTube freely. Go search it. You'll find them. But check this out. This is a quote from Terrence McKenna as part of this, as part of the larger conversation that I found. Everything I read by this man is incredible. Listen to what he said. Animals are something invented by plants to move seeds around, an extremely yang solution to a peculiar problem which they faced. That's an interesting thought, huh? Maybe the evolutionary aspect of humans as the alpha isn't as it's described. We're sort of pawns for something else. And would that explain sort of the aspect of what it means to be human in the sense of you sense something that's not quite right about the realm we live in? You get it? I don't know. It's a wild one. A lot of other stuff here. Love to hear your thoughts if you guys want to be part of the conversation tonight. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Get in here. Phone lines are empty. James, you got anything on that or anything else? I got tons of stuff to get to, of course.
That's amazing. I'm sort of with you. I need to get find those videos and that Matthew in Colorado was talking about because that does sound like a perfect thing to just put on and listen to for a while on resting my eyes or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think another part of humans is the idea of hubris, of feeling that we are bigger or better than other species. And it would be ironic, but it also wouldn't surprise me in a way if we had been designed along with other animals to just move things around, move seeds around, move nutrients around, maybe on a larger scale, maybe as far as arranging things in nature to make things work better. I don't know, but that wouldn't surprise me in a way.
Yeah, like we're sort of the subservient seed movers of the mycelial network. So it's so crazy to think about all of this. Yeah, I don't know. No answers, more questions for me, just thinking about these ideas. Like I said, in human ways, I think clearly we have to frame them that way, or otherwise they don't make a ton of sense when you're trying to communicate them to other humans. But I don't know. Terrence McKenna has a way of sort of stepping outside of those boundaries and kind of considering, well, what weird thing comes next? And there's a ton of weird things that are probably about to come next. Do you think, James, we'll be able to, in the coming opposite of apocalypse, the coming quickening, you think we'll be able to actually tune into this mycelial network somehow and communicate with it? You think that's a possibility in the near future?
Well, I mean, I maybe this actually reminds me of a show we did quite a while ago now, I think, about sort of mapping the experience of someone who takes in any kind of natural substances that are supposed to expand their mind, and that them being monitored and sort of making a map of these other realms. I don't remember the title of the show now, but using electronics or computers or devices to sort of try to help map out what it looks like when people are in sort of another state of consciousness and what the world looks like through them, through technology. I wonder if maybe that would be part of it. I hope not. I hope we're able to find some kind of connection that's more natural. But also, I mean, I'm sure that technology will be put to use, whether it should be or not. So yeah, I have no idea, but I think, it makes me think of how many stories we've heard about and read about over time where in fiction, where people go too far as a species and nature reacts to us, and it doesn't go well for people, at least not for everyone. But I would hope that it would sort of be smart enough or be, I don't know, aware enough to know that not everyone wants to harm nature, because I think that's a problem with fiction as well, is the idea of it all being on such a large scale where it's one species punishing another species entirely.
Yeah, well, which isn't direct and intentional, but surely it's happening, and that becomes the wide world of this wide-ranging conversation. Is that if we're talking about adversarial networks in the sense of plants or fungus and being able to deceive each other for competitive advantage, then of course it scales out to we live in their realm. Like, this is their world, not ours. They were here long before us. So I don't know. It's complicated. Talking fungal alliances tonight. Yeah. I don't know, man. Terrence McKenna is an incredible dude, and he's locked into this stuff. Like I said, do you believe that, let's say, and I'm with you, more of a natural sense of this, like through some sort of communion, meditation, business, communing with nature through meditation is what I meant to say, not communion itself. But that idea seems to be
an entirely other experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't mind me on that. Just to misspeak from myself. But yeah, I think that's probably where this should head. And we've talked about this quite a lot as well, the power of prayer and the power of intention and this type of stuff. Is it real, and does it play? And does the mycelium network actually recognize it, or any of it, or does it care at all? I'm very Lovecraftian, as Derek was saying too. Fire stuff, James. Anything else you got there?
Yeah, I would hope that it would. I would hope that with enough people sort of focusing on helping nature in whatever ways we can, that it would respond hopefully in kind in some way. I do think, again, there has to be balance in everything, and that does include creating and destroying in different ways. And I think just the key is that balance and figuring out and finding it, and hopefully we do someday. Otherwise, yeah, I do think it could become very Lovecraftian very easily, if it hasn't already. I mean, there's so much of Lovecraft. There are the figures, just real quick on that have names in those stories that are specific. They're one entity that's in the mythos of Lovecraft. But then there's also other beings that are just sort of minor players that still have impact on people in those stories, and come from other places and out in space and land, and then have these terrifying results and effects on the land and the people and the other animals on it.
Yeah, well said. Again, cruising through the Terrence McKenna quotes here, he says something that fits into what we're describing right now. Nature is not our enemy to be raped and conquered. Nature is ourselves to be cherished and explored. Indeed. Fire stuff, James. Fire stuff. Yeah, a lot of ways to look at this, and that's why we talk about this with each other, because what are we missing? And that really comes to mind when I'm trying to put these shows together. I'm always asking myself, what are we missing? There's a batch of stuff we know, which is important, but there's a batch of stuff we don't know, which is probably equally more important, arguably. Discovering this type of stuff, I don't really know. Fire stuff, James. Anything else there? We got Jorge right behind you, but if you got it, go ahead.
No, I think that's all I have for now.
You're the best. You are absolutely the best. The glue of the show. Please go give James a follow on all the places, troubledminds.org/friends. Follow James here. We're talking fungal alliances. Is it possible that we're being deceived somehow? Weird, right? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And by the way, this show is not about drugs. It's not about hallucinogens. It's about a natural process. It's about us communing with nature in some capacity. What do you know about it? How weird does it get? And what do we expect to find in the coming days of the quickening, as I like to continue calling this? Jorge, on Discord, what's up, brother? How are you tonight? You're on Troubled Minds, and go right ahead.
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. No complaints out of me.
Like Alfred Hitchcock used to say, good evening.
Good evening. I wish I could do it like him.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you got me thinking. Mushrooms has been a part of my life forever, like, because I'm from Mexico, and so like I have relatives that were big into mushrooms, and they had their experiences and their shamanic things. And but I think this is it. This is my theory. Like you said, I'm not the expounder of truth. I think mushrooms are dying. They're the manifestations of death. Because like Amasita muscaria, for example, it grows on cow poop. And what does poop do? It's dying. And so a lot of the, shall we say, kind of like revelation stories. I don't know, like how will we say it? Maybe not revelations. Kind of like I don't know. When people have near-death experiences, they have huge, like, revelations of their existence and everything like that. And so I don't know, like, how many people have actually done, have had experience with that mushroom. But the experience certainly feels like you're not your own, like you're something else. And you're experiencing that, kind of like you're falling or, just something weird. And so I think that's it. I think I'm right. I think that it's kind of like a little death, kind of like the French people say, "le petit mort." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know what too, part of that, that goes back quite a bit is that stoned ape theory, is that this is what brought consciousness in, chasing the herds for food, and then these mushrooms growing on the dung of the animals, and then people eating them because they were starving, and then suddenly it sort of brought about consciousness in humans from our primordial past. That's part of the discussion here. And so, is it real? I don't know, but recognize I think you're onto something here, that it does represent in some capacity the cycle of life and death. And dung in and of itself is excrement, it's waste, it's right, it's natural. But it is not where you want to be, but these things tend to grow from it. You know, an interesting tidbit as part of this, a little bit of an aside, but it kind of makes some sense too, is we were talking about those old cults in the old days. And what's the mathematician guy? What's his name? It's Pythagoras, right? I think this is the guy. He had a cult. No, it's not him. It'll come to me in a second. But he had this cult. The name will come to me in a second.
Pythagoras had a cult.
Yeah. Was it him? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Pythagoras had a cult. Yeah.
Okay. And so I was reading something recently, and I get all it mixed up in my head because it just came to me right now. But they thought that beans were from Hades or something, right? So part of their dietary structure was they didn't eat beans because, well, you know what happens when you eat beans, right? It kind of causes a negative adverse reaction in humans, and so it was part of the mysteries of, well, their cult is to not eat beans because they believe them to come from Hades or something. I mean, I was like, what in the hell? But it is, as you're describing, sort of the doorway to that life and death cycle, like kind of bringing it out of us. It's weird. It's a weird thing to consider, all of this, but yeah. Fire stuff. What else you got?
Yeah, it's like, have you ever heard of Maria Sabina?
No, say that again.
You never heard of Maria Sabina?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Maria Sabina was like the master mushroom lady, like big time. In fact, I don't know if she ever knew Terence McKenna, but In fact, on that Joe Rogan episode that you guys were talking about, where Herbert, that's the guy that wrote Dune, right? Herbert. Like there is like a UFO guy that that Joe Rogan is interviewing, and I guess this UFO guy knew Herbert, and he was saying, he's like, wait a minute, I think I got it. He's like, so the spice is the spore of the psilocybin mushroom, and the Bene Gesserit ladies are Maria Sabina and her friends. And then Herbert is like, I cannot believe you're the first one that actually made the connection. I was like, oh shit, I guess Herbert knew Maria Sabina. Maria Sabina was a little Indian woman, I guess not Indian, I guess like native woman from her native state was Oaxaca. And she had like all these different kinds of like 5-star visitors. Like the Beatles went up there. Well, not all of them, but like some of the Beatles went up there. The Rolling Stones, all the writers, like, and it became people became aware of her because of I guess these article from the New Yorker, and that article made her like pretty famous. And a lot of these rock stars and writers and philosophers went up there to see her and tried to document her. They even wrote an opera about her work. And she, one time, like, her story goes that because they asked her, there was the Mexican guy was the one that wrote the best biography on her. He, I think his last name was Estrada. He was asking her, he's like, so how did you first consume mushrooms? And then she said, I was with my sister and we were just little girls and I was really hungry, and then I was looking at the tree, and there were some mushrooms growing beneath the tree, and I heard the mushrooms talking to me, and the mushroom said, "Eat me." And so I was kind of hungry, so I picked up the mushrooms and I started chewing on them, and then I found myself, hearing voices and, hearing. She was. It's kind of interesting the way she displays her relationship with the mushroom because she was a very Catholic person. At that time in Mexico, you had to be Catholic, otherwise you will face a lot of persecution. But she also had very pagan ways, like Native American. I think she was a Mazateca Indian. So she definitely, when she did her chants, she was not talking about Jesus or the Virgin Mary. She was like chanting, it's like, I am the woman rain, I am the woman that dies, I am the woman who walks in the morning, I am the woman. And so she had to chant, and she had like a little rattle with which she did her mass. And so she called her mushrooms like her little children. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's like that woman is like such a rock star, and it's such a shame that she lived such a miserable life.
Yeah, I've taken a note, and I will definitely look into that because I'm not familiar with her at all. But it seems like, I don't know, the mushroom bit is, it's hard for me because I don't like mushrooms. The texture's weird. I kind of don't do drugs, so me, I'm just like, I kind of feel like they don't want us messing with them, right? But beyond that, there's a lot of people that, again, Terrence McKenna, the heroic doses and all the stuff we talked about previously. Shout out Matt in Colorado. But it seems like it does. I don't know. I don't want to talk about something I don't really know anything about personally. But I don't know. It's weird, right? It's weird when you get a thinker, you get a dreamer that can kind of be amplified in certain ways. And I don't. Again, I 100%, I don't encourage people to kind of try stuff because it's a weird time in the world where things can be laced with some things, and just be very, very, very careful. Don't do drugs, kids. That's my disclaimer, of course. But what do you got? What do you got, Jorge? Sorry. Yeah,
there was a guy up here in Utah that I guess he bought some psilocybin mushrooms from the street and he died. And that mushroom will probably not kill you. It will make you really sick, but it will not kill you. But it was probably laced with something, or it was probably contaminated with something else. So it kind of sucks that guy, had to die from consuming mushrooms. But yeah, mushrooms, they're interesting little things for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Lots of wild stuff here. Do you think that it is, as we're describing, that the mycelium network is actually going to be able to deceive itself within itself, and then maybe deceive us? Is it more Lovecraftian than we think, sort of something deep and dark and kind of wants us to die so it can grow on us on our carcass or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, that is nature. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's like, nature is by nature, nature is by nature predatory. It's just, I think also like pineapple, for example, it tries to eat you when you eat it. It's just by nature predatory. It just likes to consume things, and that is the purpose of mushrooms. It just likes to eat other things and consume them. And with the brain is very, very much also very similar. Where you can feel starting to like move and shake things and tell you things and try to take over things. So yeah, I can totally see that. Nature.
Nature's scary. It's beautiful, but it's scary. I mean, we're part of it, of course. And so I think you can make the same connection to mankind, right? Humans are, beautiful and wonderful and all these great things we've done. We've done some horrific things too. It's weird. It's a weird dichotomy of just not just being human, but living in a system that's kind of like this. And I guess it's probably the natural order of the cosmos. I would imagine an alien planet is probably very similar, maybe even more brutal than we could ever dream. So who knows? Who really knows what this looks like? Fire stuff. What else you got? Go ahead.
No, that's all I have, my brother. I was thinking is like, those little mushrooms are little death, but they don't really kill you. So they just kill you enough for them to like wake you up and help you forget yourself. Like I read a lot of Carlos Castaneda when I was younger, and it just really makes you think about life in very different ways. It's like, I don't know, like I met his wife, and so I was able to get some of the real what was really going on with Carlos. I met his first wife, and so I was able to get some of I was a huge fan, and so I had to ask her a bunch of questions. It's like, did he really see Don Juan? Did it really happen? And so she told me some of the stories and some of the stuff that I assumed I kind of assumed the correct thing, that because the book certainly don't flow properly. They seem to be having problems. It's like, it seems like they're different stories from different people. And she said, it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like, first Don Juan, he didn't give him like the money that he promised, and then Don Juan got mad and says like, don't ever come back here again. And so he didn't. And so Carlos kind of got the stories from these other people. And so it's like, yeah, kind of what I gathered. And then, what's his name? The Horodowski guy, the guy that you have never heard anything about. He also said that Carlos was kind of his leaseball. And so it's interesting, the whole Latin American relationship with mushrooms and psychedelics. For sure, but they had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it seems like there's something to it, for sure. And I don't know what it is, how to put my finger on it. I want to read this to you before you go. Another Terence McKenna quote. Check this out. This is, very troubled mindsy. Quote, "We need to interact with like-minded people throughout the world to establish the new intellectual order which will be the salvation of mankind." Terence McKenna. Yeah. Welcome to it, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for staying up late with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of this. Always a pleasure, unless you got a comment on that, and have a great night.
Yeah, Terence was the man. I don't agree with everything that he said, but a lot of the things that he did say, he has been proven right. So yeah, you're spot on.
Right on. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks again. You are the best. Have a fantastic night. Everybody go follow Jorge. Links in the description, as you know, troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow Jorge here. Please go do that. Go check out his YouTube channel. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. There's a lot happening with this. I don't know. Like I said, I'm split in a lot of ways because I'm more the Carl Jung version of this in terms of, I think that we can probably access this stuff through a more natural order. And I guess maybe you could even make the argument that, mycelium in this bit and, the mushrooms are the natural order, or a huge slice of them. So I don't know. Like I said, I kind of split, but, You tell me. As usual, I'm not the arbiter of anybody's truth, barely my own. But what do you know about this, and how weird does it get? I see you, Matthew, back in here. We'll talk to you momentarily. Thanks for being patient. You guys love to hear your thoughts. Nobody on the line. We got Matthew and more from James if he's got it, and your calls as well. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. We're talking fungal alliances tonight. It's a weird thing, right? To think that there's maybe human level thought or even beyond beneath our feet. Yeah. Weird? Beyond weird. Yeah. Be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. Love to hear what you think about this and how weird does it get. Be right back.
Drifting through the quantum haze. Mind entangled in a daze. Whispers in the neural mist. Echoes of what might exist. Lost in time in this web we spin. It's alright beyond our skin. Consciousness forever twined in the dark unseen. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. Though we're scattered, we are reflected. Frequencies that pull us in. Parallel worlds kept within. Synapses that intertwine. Fragments of an endless line. Feel the pulse of a distant star. It's alright, we are who we are. In the void we find the light in tangled hearts. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. In the silence, hear the call. One by one we rise and fall. Quantum minds forever near. In this world so clear. Quantum dreams, we're all connected. Though we're scattered, we are reflected. Dark energy in the depths we find. Mysteries of the human mind. Particles that drift afar. Whispers of who we are. Hold the thread of the great unknown. It's alright, we are never alone. Flow through time on currents thin. Universe is found within. Feel the echoes of the past. In this moment, futures cast. Through the veil of the space between. It's alright, life's a lucid dream.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Hope you're well tonight. What's up, Sylvain? I see you there, buddy. What's up, Gaston, Celia? I see you guys. What's up, Matzel? Appreciate all the kind chat out there. Thanks for being nice to each other. It means a lot to me. Appreciate you guys very much. Raz, what's up? What's up, Puff? I see you guys. Hello, hello. Rumble, what's up? Yeah, it's rumor.com. What is that? Who is Maria Sabina? There we go. All right, perfect. Thank you very much. We got a link. I'll bring that into the show. And your Troubled Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, X, Twitch, DLive, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking fungal alliances. It's a weird term, right? A hidden hand in evolution, but it traces back to this article that just hit from Science Alert. The mysterious network of plants may be nastier than we thought. And it goes through to discuss the fact that, well, it may not be this benevolent mess of communication. It might be manipulating itself in particular ways by sending false signals to gain an evolutionary advantage versus its competition, which seems strange, right? It seems very human. It seems very deceptive, all the rest of that stuff. But it also seems almost, I don't know, like I said, it makes my tinfoil tingle just talking about it, because we're trying to once again ascribe a human sentiment to an alien entity. And I mean, it's not truly alien, it's of this earth, it's terrestrial for sure, but it's also something we barely understand. So how deep does this get? And how weird is it? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Shout out to Hiker Emoji over there on Rumble for posting this, and also to Jorge for bringing this up. But apparently there's a whole article. Maria Sabina, the Mazatec poet and mushroom healer. Who is Maria Sabina? So I'll drop that in the chat. It will be part of the description down below if you want to check that out. Anything, James, we'll go to Matthew, and then if we got calls, we'll go to them.
So did I hear that Michael Strange is not a huge fan of mushrooms?
Yeah.
I mean, like just regular food mushrooms? Like, because I don't know if we can be friends. I mean, that's a no, I'm just kidding. Because I do love mushrooms. But yeah, just great calls from everyone all night, and looking forward to the rest.
Yeah, it's just a texture. It feels like I'm chewing on something I shouldn't be chewing on. You know what I mean? I'm just like, what is this?
I love mushrooms on pizza and then like pasta. Like that's yeah. But anyway,
all good.
That's neither here nor there, I guess.
All good. I'm just saying. It kind of feels weird to me. Anyway, what do I know? I'm just me, and as I say, I'm just me. I can tell you what I know. There you go. Matthew in Colorado. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. You pop back in here. I'm sure you have some stuff to say, since this is right down your alley. What you got, my man? Welcome back.
Yeah, well, as often happens, the minute you get done with your call, or in the next 10 minutes, you think of like 5 things that I meant to say that, I forgot that, or I didn't have time for that. And then you hear other callers, and it stimulates other thoughts. So rapid fire potpourri. One, and I thought of this prior and didn't get it in, and you read a quote about Terence McKenna about the need for ideas, and he was greatly concerned and of the opinion that our society and humanity was in deep trouble, deep doo-doo, and also equally so with the environment. And he was way ahead of his time. I've been talking about that before it was really on very many people's minds. And so his whole approach was oriented around that concern for society to be pulled out from going down the tubes and going down the toilet. Now, you brought up just before the break about doing things the natural way, and I agree, and Terence would totally agree, and he discussed that. But here's what Terence said about that. He said, yeah, and we can achieve similar things and naturally and get to states of communion and stuff to a degree, like we can do with DMT or everything, mushrooms, using things like transcendental meditation. And after 25 years of deep study and practice of that, people can get there. He said, the problem is we don't have 25 years. And he was convinced and clearly said, I think that hallucinogens are our only and best hope to get the ideas and the progression of consciousness and awareness and awakening of society in time to bring about a significant enough change to keep it all from going down the tubes. But he also said, I'm not saying everybody needs to do them or that even most people should do them. I'm saying we need a team. He's the guy who coined the term psychonauts. And he said, we need a team, a large team of dedicated psychonauts. And that's where it was probably in the same conversation your quote came, that he said to go get the ideas. We need the psychonauts to go make the journeys and bring back the ideas and bring back the knowledge to basically save ourselves, save society, and save humanity. And he's like, the thing is, you with no spiritual training and never meditated in your life, you can smoke one hit of DMT and in 10 seconds, you're on a different dimension talking to machine elves and other beings. And so it works powerfully and fast and predictably and reliably for anyone with no training. And he said that is the power and benefit of hallucinogens. The other thing, I didn't quite tie together the importance of why I brought up the age of humans, say, being 1 million years and fungi being, 1.3 billion years, was that if you consider the mycelium network like a neural network, really close parallel to the human brain's neural network, part of the point was, if you, even from the way scientists consider that perhaps consciousness and awareness and intelligence from humans, and the reason we have it is because of our large brains and our number of neural connections that, say, an ant or a bunny rabbit doesn't have. Okay, so it's a matter of scaling up the number of neural connections. Well, in chat, I made the point, they say in a 10-foot by 10-foot area in the woods that has mycelium, in that 100 square feet, that is, in that amount of dirt, there's more neurons than in your brain, which means it is totally easy for the fungi and the mushrooms to have the neural network and computing power capacity to be as intelligent or aware or conscious as humans, if not more so. And then if you go back to them originally being beings, or what we would call aliens, or, consciousness from afar, they could travel on the spores sort of in stasis. And it may be that to fully become conscious and aware and thinking and active, they had to develop a sufficiently large neural network. So for every 10-foot by 10-foot piece of ground, basically you have the equivalent of one conscious individual mushroom being. Okay. And then when you look at how much of the earth they covered, okay, you've got a colony just like the humans. And part of the implication of that is, if they achieved that and they had so many millions of years head start, then just like humans have adapted and used the land and the animals and everything and manipulated everything in the environment to benefit us, then when you think about the concept that maybe mushrooms created plants, like I said, if nothing more than to have rotten logs to breed on, right? And because the mushroom above ground is known to be the sex organ of the mycelium, okay? That's why they look so phallic. That's literally what they are. They're their sex organs. And that's how they make the spores and reproduce, okay? So if you think along the sequence, then going back in time, the mushrooms created the plants, and then that ties into where Terence McKenna said, and you quoted, about the plants created the birds and the animals to distribute their seeds. Well, and so maybe the plants were imbued by and tied into the consciousness given to them by the mushrooms. So they're conscious and interconnected and created the animals. And then a lot of people, of course, think that in particular dolphins and whales and great apes and chimpanzees are pretty darn conscious and obviously intelligent. Or take a crow, and that's the bird the mushrooms invented. And then when you finally get to humans, you realize exactly what you said. We may not be top of the heap. We're kind of the bottom of the heap that eventually got created to serve, the animals and serve the plants and serve the fungi. And how do we best serve the fungi? Kind of like Terence McKenna alluded to, we become the vehicle that they can, and like Jorge commented, you sort of merge with their consciousness, almost like a possession, but in a good way, in cooperative way. So you become their avatar. So the mushroom spore, this interdimensional being, now has a human body. It can walk around and it has eyeballs, and it can see colors and all of this stuff. And that's kind of like Jorge was saying, and I've experienced it. They kind of shroom you out, like you become a hybrid between a human and a mushroom. Okay, so it kind of turns everything upside down and backwards, and it relates to his theory I just love. It's hard to get your mind around, but he calls it something like the great attractor at the end of time. And the short version is, at the end of all time, the unified consciousness, through exploring everything through infinity and all of the creations and dimensions and conscious beings, basically figures everything out or solves the riddle of life, or the Greeks would say, came to know itself fully and completely through becoming the many, and then the many knowing themselves, and it all collecting back up. Once that happens at the end of time, it has the overall solution or end game. And therefore, with that solution, it goes backwards in time and orchestrates all the events that it already knows are necessary to lead to its final eureka and revelation and conclusion and understanding everything and being omniscient and totally aware.
Which basically is the framework for retrocausality and how some of those bizarre syncs actually are in play today. Which, by the way, I'm going to do a show with Jay of Project Unity on Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. And because he's UK time, it'll be 8 p.m. his time. And we're going to talk about retrocausality and some of the weird things that are happening as part of that. But I'm glad you brought that up. Can you link that to me? We did talk about the great attractor at the end of time on a previous show, but it's been so long that it's way out of my...
I'll see if I could pick up a YouTube video on that and maybe look at it and find a minute marker for you. But just tying that together real quick, let's just put that in the blender and throw out the idea that the great attractor at the end of time then has figured it all out and says, eureka, I have the perfect way to achieve all of this. And I'm going to create consciousness and spread it throughout the universe on these perfect little spaceships that they're going to call mushroom spores. And eventually it's going to hit a bunch of planets and generate life, and it'll evolve according to the blueprints and mathematics and physics and programmed DNA that I created. Okay. And so on Earth, that looks like why we get the mushroom spores first with the DNA containing the consciousness and awareness, then creating the plants, then creating the animals, then creating the humans, and then the humans' consciousness and where we go from here becomes what comes next, that eventually ends up in the grand attractor unified creator dude figuring everything out. So the retrocausality is now you understand the links in the chain in a way that it all makes sense only by looking at the completed puzzle and then realizing all the pieces required to assemble the puzzle, right?
Well said. All that fire. Like I said, I knew when I had this topic in mind, and shout out Eric too for inspiring this a little bit as well. I saw this article and was like, I'm sure we're going to talk to Matthew tonight because this is right down your alley. Fire stuff, brother. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for popping in here. MJ's on the line. We got to get to him. And thanks again. Always a pleasure. And go give Matthew a follow. troubledminds.org/friends. It says Matthew's books. Go check them out. Do the best, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for letting me get in those missing thoughts. And I'm glad we got another caller. So have a good night, and I'll keep listening.
You're the best. Matthew in Colorado. You know him, you love him. James, anything to add to that? And we'll go to MJ.
Just great calls from everyone. Great call from Matt Cope. I did find a link, and I already put it in the chat of these. I believe it's the ones that he was talking about earlier, those conversations between McKenna and others. And I put that in the show chat as well. Well, not the show chat, but the YouTube chat. So, looking forward to listening to those as well.
Yeah, me too. You were the best. I pulled them out. They're up here. So it's on sheldrake.org. It's the trilogues, the Sheldrake, McKenna, Abraham trilogues. And yep, there's definitely a link there talking about these things, and they're, I guess, encoded into the thing. They're all here, which is incredible. Okay, sweet. Super sweet. That means I can listen during the daytime when I'm working because it's all audio. Appreciate you very much for finding that, James. Fire stuff as always. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. MJ in Virginia. Thanks for being patient, my man. How are you, sir? And go right ahead.
Doing great. I'm going to go straight to the mushrooms thing instead of all the other stuff. There's a mushroom called kombucha mushroom tea, and I'll explain how it works. Maybe that'll help you kind of get over your mushroom thing a little bit. The mushroom itself is grown from sugar tea. Now, in the South, we have sweet tea. It's really sweet. So you put the mushroom in the tea, it emulsifies the sugar and turns it into a mushroom tea. It uses the sugar to live. And that's how it grows and changes with the sugar. This comes from China, 20,000 years ago, China or Japanese, something like that. Okay. So, and if you ever try this, do not put the brewed tea that you have in the refrigerator because the cold will kill off the spores and it'll be useless. What this does, and I brewed it for several years myself. What it does is the spores, they've emulsified the tea you're drinking. It's called constant brewing, where you take a half a cup out, a half a cup of fresh tea in. And everything has to be distilled water and organic, all of it. What it does, once you ingest the tea, the spores are still looking for sugar to emulsify to grow and change, or to live. That's what they're doing. Now, once it hits your body, it'll burn off the excess sugar for so much, and then dispel, get rid of it. And it's a nice little cleanser. It grows its own minerals, certain proteins we don't find in food, some vitamins, this type of thing. What they found was that if you're diabetic, you can drink this tea, and they found clinically that it reduces the amount of insulin that you have to use because it burns out the excess sugar in your body. And it balances out. What I found out, because I'm hyperglycemic, I haven't been for a while. I mean, once in a while if I ate too much sugar, it kind of affects me. But what I found out was we have a lot of sugar in our foods. And let's say I eat something it's not digesting. And I would take, and I had a half a cup of it daily. And I would eat, this pizza with the flour, all this. It's like, this is sitting there, cheese. I'd take a half a cup of that and drink it right after I ate. And what it started doing, if you have sugars in your foods, it'll help to emulsify the sugars. So your body doesn't have to. It doesn't have to go to your liver. And it's also a good cleanser for your liver. But emulsified, and then it would start to digest much more evenly because you're getting rid of the excess sugar.
Okay, I follow you. So you're recommending I do this? Is this what I should be doing?
Well, what I found was I'm not allergic to poison ivy and poison oak. I was when I was little. It was horrible. And I started drinking the kombucha mushroom tea. I get back to the East Coast. I'm still brewing it. And, I just grabbed some of it real quick. It never bothered me. So it literally sets your body up. It balances your body out to where you're not having reactions to your food like you used to. I think it fills in the blanks for your body, but since it's a mushroom and it's not really medical, it's not like you take your drugs, it's not recognized for that. But they've done studies over the years, and it just seems to it balance my body out quite nicely. And you're able to lose weight, this type of thing, because it gets rid of that excess stuff that it doesn't, the sugars that your body's not going to digest easily, or if at all, and it turns into fat. It takes that out. So it's actually, if you do it the right, and you can't refrigerate it, it has to be home brewed. I home brewed mine, and that's the best effect because it's room temperature. The spores are alive. You drink it, it goes into your body. Your body's the same temperature as a room, whatever. Like I said, if you put it in the refrigerator, it kills the spores off. So if you're buying it from the store, it doesn't work. It's a flavored water is what it is.
Which there's a lot of that in the stores. That's for sure. With
a whole lot of that in the store.
With some poisonous yellow dye or whatever the hell they put, red dye number 5, whatever the crap is in that stuff. Don't drink it. It sounds complicated, man. Am I going to be able to do this? Send me a link, please. I don't know. It sounds very complicated.
Just someplace in California, there's a woman there has a kombucha mushroom camp, like some kind of thing, and she has a site for that. I'm going to try to get more this year because I haven't done this in a while. But it's homebrewed, and you have to pay attention to your mushroom. You've got to sit there, and it comes with a booklet, instructions, and everything on what to do. She's really got it down to a science, and it shows you exactly what to do. And it depends on how strong you want it to be, how many days you let it brew. You see, and you kind of go from there. Sometimes I use it really strong, and that's when it's more of a cleanser kind of thing. It really starts burning some stuff out. To everything, but it's not anything weird. The one thing that will get it was fruit flies. So if you bring in fresh fruits from your grocery store and then suddenly you got these little bugs flying around in your house, if it gets anywhere near the tea, it'll start laying eggs in the tea, and it's totally ruined. That's the only thing I found that I had to protect it from was that. But
okay, so let me ask a question. So you're describing that there is sort of a way of communing with this mycelium network in a more natural way, not communing, let's say, directly like channeling or something like that, but sort of the natural process of our body having a reciprocal effect of the good stuff. Is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, absolutely. It goes in. See, when the Chinese have all these mushrooms and they're studying fungus, this is what they're doing. Some of it's for medicine, and it'll literally go in and kill your cancer because they're using these mushrooms and have a way that the mushroom needs to live off of cancer. So you take this for several days or a couple of months or whatnot, and suddenly you have any cancer, instead of chemo, their spores are going in and eating out the cancerous material or whatever is in your body that's bothering you. And that's why they have some of these forms of tea that they have are $10,000 for a treatment. And it actually works. It cleanses your body out and gets rid of the toxins. Last Thursday, I went through massive food poisoning from some bad fish sticks I got at one of the food banks. And I thought, fish sticks, go to them. I'm eating. I was like, no, they don't have much flavor. So I put a little hot sauce, a little mayonnaise, kind of, not too hot. And the first day, my stomach was a little upset. And the second day, it was, whoa. It was beyond food poisoning. I don't know what the hell was going on. But once I got through it all, my body is now digesting the food better after the food poisoning. So whatever that was about went into the system, and it was rough. Let me tell you, I thought it was, my mom died of abdominal cancer, and that's exactly where it started hitting me. I was like, oh, my God, And I finally threw up, and it's like, oh, whew, relief. It's out of there. And I just had this acidy-looking stuff that came out of my stomach. And what it had done, it had attacked it also because you're just going, I was drinking like gallons of water just to keep myself hydrated. And what it was, it also went in and flushed out my body. Toxins. It helped get rid of that also. So now, when it was like, I could just I was eating stuff, and it was normal, gaseous reaction. It wasn't like my stomach's blowing up. Before it was. After that, I went through all that. It settled down a great deal. So that in itself was bacteria that went in and brutally attacked everything else, attacked me. But the outcome was I got some cleansing. So I felt more grounded, better because some of the stuff I gotten cleared out. The kombucha mushroom tea, you can drink a half a cup a day. Like I said, it's continual brewing. Cup out, fresh tea in. Half a cup, and you get it set to a certain area to where it's like 10-day brewing instead of 7-day brewing. So you can kind of stretch it out a little bit, and then you start doing it. It'll hold it right there. It won't get any worse. It won't, it gets stronger or weaker. It stays right there. So when we think about, spores and stuff, they're meant to help clean the body out. Okay, they're meant to go in and do these things. That's being symbiotic with a part of nature, is what we're not realizing.
Right Right on, fire stuff. I think that's coming too, sort of that more natural medicine that we've sort of eschewed for, big pharma and this type of stuff in the modern age. And this is why I always bring up the old ways, because it's important to not forget them. There's a lot of those old folk remedies that still hold water that we should consider as part of this stuff, and we don't have to be buying whatever Pfizer made or whatever. Instead, like turmeric, for instance. Again, I had that crick in my neck that lasted for 2 weeks or whatever. It was horrific, and I just took some turmeric and it anti-inflammatory, knocked it down and allowed it to heal, and I was back right out of it. It's crazy, right? You could go buy whatever the hell at the store and probably do a similar thing, but it's probably not the best for you. It's a wild thing. We're just about out of time. Final thought, my friend, and let's wrap this up.
Well, like Epsom salts, you can soak your feet in Epsom salts. The salts pull out through your feet toxins. That's what it's for. It'll pull out the moisture because the salt is going to look for more moisture. It's not bacteria, but it's the salts. I was living in Phoenix. I injured my right knee to the point I couldn't even walk on it. And the only way I could soak my knee was get in the bathtub, and I put 2 big cups of Epsom salts in the bath water. And what I found out was, I didn't use any soap, just, take my hands, rub my body down, massaging the calf of my leg, my knee just, was hurting. And I got up the next morning, and my entire body was oily. It was just oily, especially where I had been massaging my calf and my knee. It was very oily. So what the Epsom salts did is it got off all the dead skin cells off your body and allowed the natural body oils to come out. And from then on in, I use that periodically to get really soaked in it and just, you scrub yourself down, but no soaps of any sort, just Epsom salts. It also rearranges your body odor. It changes that. So I tested this out. I'm retired, so I have things to do. I don't have anything to do. And so I didn't use any deodorant or anything else. I waited to see how long it was before my body, the bacteria in the body started to smell. And it took a good week, a week and a half, I think. And I'm just using the Epsom salts to clean with. It actually rearranges, I guess, your was it PhD or whatever in your skin. And because it also gets all the dead skin cells off of you as much as it can, because you're constantly producing those things. If you use deodorant and your regular little deodorant soaps and whatnot, basically it turns your skin cells into oatmeal, and it stays on your system. If you'll notice when you take a shower, you're going to soap up once, get all cleaned off, go soap up again. And then the second soaping, you're taking 2 showers at once. That second soaping, you take your finger or your thumb and just run it along, you just push on the skin, and it starts to feel like it's squeaky or it catches. That means you've gotten a lot of the dead skin cells off.
All right. Perfect. Fire stuff. Like I said, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to implement this. Send me a link, please, and I'll take a look. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you staying up late with us and sharing your wisdom and knowledge. It's good stuff. I'm not kidding. It's just I'm so busy that there's no chance I'm going to do this stuff. but I appreciate you very much. There's other people out there that might, and so thank you for sharing that, and thanks for being you. Always a pleasure, my man.
All right.
Have a great one. MJ in Virginia. We love him. Been a good friend for a long time. And yeah, so I can't vouch for any of that stuff. I've never tried it, obviously. So again, before you change your diet, again, all the disclaimers apply. Talk to a doctor you trust, all the rest of that stuff, right? Yeah. Don't do drugs, kids. So I don't know. Let's wrap it. Let's get out of here. I don't know. Anything, final thought there, James? And let's get the hell out.
Great call from MJ and everyone. And thank you for letting me be on the show, as always, Mike, and looking forward to next time.
Glad to have you. Matthew in Colorado. Make it quick. What you got?
Well, kombucha is great, but it's not a mushroom, no spores. It's a probiotic bacteria. And Epsom salt, also great. It's not salt. It's magnesium sulfate, 50% each, and also great stuff, but not a salt.
Great stuff is good enough by me. You're the best. Appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for staying up late with us, caring about these ideas, and helping with the ideation of a new paradigm. And like I said, as I go down and read all this Terence McKenna stuff, all the quotes from this guy, he seems more and more very much a troubled mind. Check this out. Is this not very much me? A quote straight from Terence McKenna. My technique is don't believe anything. If you believe in something, you are automatically precluded from believing its opposite. That sounds very familiar. Sounds very familiar. Yeah, I don't know. That's really been, as I've described these conversations, right? Look, am I a scientist? No, absolutely not. Am I a philosopher? Kind of. Am I a folklorist? Maybe. Am I just me? You bet your bippy I am. And that right there entails my philosophy when I talk about these ideas. It's okay, let's entertain the thought, the idea. Again, it's been attributed to, what was it? Aristotle. It is a mark of an educated mind to consider a thought without accepting it. I know it's been bastardized and it's different. Also, I want to point this out to you real quick. So it was Pythagoras and his cult, and he had a notable aversion to beans, especially fava beans. So I was reading this several days ago, and I thought it was wild. One perspective suggests that Pythagoras believed beans contain the souls of the dead, leading him to prohibit their consumption among his followers in the cult of Pythagoras, the Pythagorean cult. Does that sound weird to you? I thought it was wild. That's why it kind of came to my mind when we were talking about this stuff. Anyway, just wanted to clarify that from earlier. I was like, what in the world? Are you kidding me? Okay. Anyway, wild stuff. You guys, you let me know what you think. If you want to be part of the conversation, you'll have to wait till Tuesday. But if you want to help Troubled Minds, you can help us right now. Help all our friends. TroubledMinds.org/friends. If you should be on that list, you should be on that list. It's an in club, not an out club. Just let me know you have an actual specific social media or something you want to share, and I will add you to the list. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Please help our friends. There's a lot of very, very smart, talented people there creating amazing content. So please, 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 let's help each other. If you want to help us directly, spread the word. Let people know a conversation is happening where we're not going to tell you who to vote for. This is not a binary political discussion. We just don't do that because it's really stupid. And sorry, that's just the way I see it. And I think there's more important things in life than dealing with concocted, fabricated ideas. Let's come up with our own. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.